go. Let's go. Faithful. What up? It's your boy Nick 49er Faithful 365 here back again to bring you another Nothing But Niners live overreaction show after that beautiful game today. Beautiful win, actually, I should say. But before we get into all that, let me get to these formalities. I know, pain in the butt. But anyway, if this is your first time here, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button here on YouTube, and make sure you set that bell for notifications so that you know when we're going live or any impromptu videos, breaking news, things like that. Make sure you give us a follow on Twitter and Snapchat. That's Nothing But 9ERS. That's Twitter and Snapchat. Also, if this is your first time here, follow us on Facebook and Instagram. That is Nothing But Niners. But if you are watching us on Facebook, make sure you go to the top where the details are, hit the StreamYard link, allow permissions for your Facebook so that we can see who's commenting here live on our show, so that when we bring up names, we can see actually who is commenting. So without further ado, if you missed any of that, visit us on our website, www.nothingbutniners.com, where you will also find a slew of great articles by a bunch of great writers. You look at bold predictions, keys to victory, things like that. Check out Mike's bold predictions today. See if he hit in on any. I'm sure he'll let you know if he hit on any tonight. But yes, if you want to send in any pictures or anything like that, we have a fan page dedicated just for you guys over there on our website. It's literally just a fan page. You guys send us pictures to this email, nb9ers@nothingbutniners.com. And from there, we post them on the website. And then you guys are all part of the NBN family, man, the faithful family. So other than that, man, I got my homie Mike here. Let me bring him up in here real quick. Mike, what is going on, baby? Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute.
What's going on, faithful? We 9-1, baby. Let's go.
Let's go.
Yeah, baby. Let's go, man. This is a fun game. It was a lot of ups and downs, a lot of downs in the beginning, a lot of ups in the middle, and then boom, we finished it strong. I can't wait to break it all down for you guys, but I'm gonna go on mute because we got a lot of guys coming in here, so let's get rid of it.
Yeah, we're actually a packed house tonight. Next in line, NY to the Bay. What's going on, baby?
What's up, man? So hyped to be here with you fellas. 9-0 feels great.
9-1.
9-1. That's what I meant.
It's all right.
I want to be undefeated. I'm forgetting about last week. That don't count.
Exactly. All right, let's go. We got the hype man.
What I tell y'all mofos? Hey, 9-1. We should be 10-0, but we're gonna leave that alone. 9-1, baby. They got come through us. Come see us. Let's go.
9-1, baby. And that brings me to NJ Niner fan 499. What is going on, Tony?
What is up? We're 9-1. A lot to talk about. Good game, strong finish. Questionable start, but listen, we're 9-1 and we're rolling. Got to keep going. Got Green Bay next week.
And last but not least, Anthony Perry. What's up, my man?
Everyone go out and buy Jeff Wilson jerseys right now. That is my boy, Jeff Wilson. Hell of a game, guys. Hell of a game. Let's get right into it. Let's get going, fellas.
Look, guys, we've been doing this. Obviously, this will be our 9th time doing it because we are 9-1. Let's go. Yeah. 9-1. But we didn't do this last week. We didn't do a victory celebration. But our good friends over at Gold Bar, who are sponsors with us, we have that Gold Bar. Let me bring Mike up on that screen right here. I see if I can make him big or small. Nope. Got to bring him back. But I'm not going to drop everybody out. But Gold Bar up there, the top right-hand corner by the NB Niners logo. You can see NY to the Bay over there with the Gold Bar. Big shout out to Gold Bar. If you guys haven't had any yet, make sure you guys get some of that at the Levi Stadium as well.
Click the little gray box over his name, right there over his screen at the bottom. Click his gray box. It'll bring him up full. There it is.
There it is.
Look at that beauty right there. That's a beauty.
Yeah.
Guys, like I said, man, go out, get your Gold Bar. And if you guys get your Gold Bar, let us know, man. We'll bring you on for a victory celebration shot. So we'll bring you on the show to do that. So, guys, without further ado, everybody got a glass or something to drink next to them. The Niners are 9-1, man. Let's celebrate. I want to cheers. Whatever we want to say. Cheers to 9-1. Cheers to 9-1. Let's do it.
Sounds good.
9-1, baby.
Here.
Niners.
Salud.
Salud.
And it's official, guys.
Yeah.
It's official. We are 9-1, baby. Mike's got his victory cigar over there. Y'all know Mike.
I'm gonna let you guys know. Let you guys know what I'm smoking over here tonight. So this is an 18-year-old cigar right here. Aged 18 years, man. Beautiful. This is gonna be oh man. Oh, I don't even know. The blend strength is 98% on this bad boy, man. Oh my God. I'm probably gonna be mad at my
I
smoking
don't know
this.
what that means.
But
I don't know what that means.
just know. Can I show you? Can you guys see this wrapper?
Yes,
Can you
sir.
guys see that? Can you guys see that wrapper? Oh wait, wrong way.
I see writing on it.
Look
Go
at
right.
that. This bad boy right here. Oh yeah. Oh, this is gonna be good. This is gonna be good. I'm going inside to get a hoodie though, because it's a little more chilly out here than what I thought it was. I'm gonna go grab a hoodie from inside, but I can't wait to talk about the game.
Look, bro, we ain't on the West Coast, man. We on the East Coast. We got to bundle up out here. You know? So, look, why Mike's doing that, man, I'm waiting for Perry to jump back in here as well. But NY to the Bay, I know you can't stay long, so I want to get your thoughts on the game. What were your overall thoughts? It's overreacting time, guys.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely shaky the first half. But throughout this whole season, I've never sat through a game that I didn't think we were going to come back and at least be competitive and have a chance to win. So I wasn't writing us off at any point. Those red zone interceptions, definitely, I threw some swear words out there. But, overall, actually every game since I bought the Bosa jersey in California, I wore it. Up until that last drive, I put this baby on. I knew he was going to take us there. Saw Jeff Wilson. He was just gone. And I lost my voice almost. So I'm hyped for it. 9-1, I feel great. There's definitely stuff to clean up, though.
Yeah, definitely. We're just going to go right in order here while Mike's getting redressed with that NB Niners hoodie. If you guys want one of those, send us over an email at nbniners@nothingbutniners.com. You can check that out, that Birth of a Dynasty or the Stone Cold Kittle hoodie, whatever you decide. Anyway, let's move into this. Perry, what's going on, man? What were your thoughts on this game? Just a quick synopsis.
Jimmy Garoppolo is a franchise quarterback who can carry his team to victories. He's relentless. It's very rare to see quarterbacks go out there, throw a bad interception and then throw, another tipped interception and still go out there and drive his team to points. You see a lot of quarterbacks go out there, that happens to them and their confidence just sails. And I mean, compared to last week against Seattle, this game definitely felt like more of a team effort. You saw less drops. You saw guys fight for more yards. You saw at least a little more separation from wide receivers. Guys were getting steps on other people. And, quite frankly, we weren't seeing that at all against Seattle. And the fact that they came out there and balled their butts off, Jimmy Garoppolo threw for over 400 yards, 4 touchdowns. The last 2 guys to do that were Montana and Steve Young. And quite frankly, it didn't feel like Garoppolo threw for over 400 yards, but I digress. The guy balled out. The defense held in there. You can only do so much after, turnovers, but the guy is balled out. Overall, it was just a solid team effort through and through. The biggest takeaway from this game, though, is Robert Saleh's adjustment after the first quarter. That was huge. That was probably one of the biggest things about the game that I really appreciated. Robert Saleh and those guys were able to just get rid of the screen game, really throw away those short passes from Kyler Murray, and the defense just worked better. They had better chances of getting at Murray and stopping plays, and it ultimately happened. And then, last bit too, second half offensive adjustments from Kyle Shanahan. You saw a lot more screen passes. Garoppolo went underneath a lot more. And, the coaching staff just they proved honestly why they're a top 5 coaching staff in the NFL. You make adjustments like that, even facing adversity, being down 16 at one point, getting through turnovers. The guys are ready. The guys are ready to take on anything. And I don't care if it's Arizona. For whatever reason, they like to play their asses off against us. And overall, they just, we came back and we beat them. It was a very well-balanced game through and through. Can't hear you. Go ahead.
You talking on mute, brother.
My bad. I muted. My bad, guys. I said talk that ish, Anthony. Like, talk that ish, man, because we'll get into a lot of the things that you talked about tonight, but I got to hear what Tony's got to say, man. I got to hear this.
There's a lot to say, Nick. I mean, come on. If you know football, if you're any type of football fan, after that first quarter, you're shitting your pants. I don't care what anyone says. They had 2 yards in the first quarter. They couldn't move the ball. They couldn't stop them. So just off of that, there's an issue there. What I learned is you can't watch this team in the first quarter because Kyle plays a game with these offenses and Saleh plays a game with the defense. They let them shoot their load the whole first quarter. And then after that, they flip the script on them, and then the other team's looking around like they don't know what the hell is going on. So that's credit to the coaching staff. That's number one. There was 2 gut checks in this game. This team got out of the hole 16-0, I think it was. What they scored.
Yeah, it was 16-0, and we scored 17 unanswered points.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's a huge test right there. I'll man up. I don't give a shit. I'm not afraid to say it. I was one of the ones saying this game's over. I have no problem saying it because I know what I was seeing. And I won't back down from that statement. But the way he flipped the script on him and made go ahead, Mike.
I was gonna call you out tonight too, bro. I'm still gonna get you.
I don't hide, Mike. That's one thing about me. I'll say it as it is. I don't care.
And that's exactly why I said I'm still gonna get you because I know you're not gonna run from it.
And let's save all that. Let's save all the synopsis, just the going through things that happen for after this. But I just want to get a quick synopsis what Wayne has to say. What were your feelings? How are you feeling and such like that watching this game? And then we'll do the breakdown.
Well, you already know I'm feeling great because we won, right? So I'm gonna keep it, nice and mellow till I get riled up. I probably need to puff on that cigar over there. But I'm gonna call it like I've been saying it all mother freaking season long. This team is resilient. And after that loss to Seattle, they came back on TV and they showed you why they were resilient. Your quarterback, our quarterback, the franchise quarterback of this 49ers nation, this 49er empire, threw 2 interceptions, and that did not faze him one bit. You know why? Because he went down the next time and he threw a touchdown pass. That, my friends, is called resilience. I've been teaching it to my students. I'm teaching it to they're teaching it to us. They're showing us why you need to believe. How much faith do we need to have in this team? They showed you tonight against this Arizona Divisional Cardinals team right here tonight. Resilience was the key. Guys stepped up. Guys held guys accountable. Nick, you talked about they reflecting. Oh, Deebo reflected. Oh, he definitely did. He showed you why. He had a self-reflection, and he came out and performed the way he was supposed to perform. Everybody came out and did what they were supposed to do, and at home, they got the victory for the faithful. Congratulations to the 49ers. And Mike, Kyle Shanahan, you called it.
Yeah, good call on that, Mike, tonight. But, all right, so let's dig into this game a little bit, all right? And I wanted to – oh, yeah, go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
Did Perry go?
Yeah.
Okay, my synopsis is this. It's going to be really quick, I promise. And I'm going to mute and go back to you, Nick. Unsung heroes. The names that you don't expect to make plays are the ones that showed up in the critical times and made this all possible. I'll get back to it later on, I promise.
Yeah, let's talk about this offensively because like Tony said, there were some things to be worried about, right? And kind of step back and say, shoot, what is going on here? But to me, right, let's talk about this because to me, you got to think about it. Those 3, well, let's just go with 2 PIs because they were in the first. Those 2 PIs, the one on Richard Sherman that put us at the 3, that was a 3 and out. We were getting off the field, right, if there's no PI there. Obviously, you can't take that back because it is a PI. But the next PI was another 3 and out and was kind of a shrug your head, turn your face kind of call like, damn, that was a bad call, right? And yes, we couldn't stop them, but we also got to look at what we gave up in yardage-wise to allow them to be where they were to score and go up those 2 touchdowns and the field goal. Or right, well, it was the field goal because the missed extra point. So, but sitting back and watching this defense, and I want to get your guys' opinion on that first before we move on. So let's go. NY, do you think that if we didn't have those penalties, and I know we did, we can't take that back. Do you think some of them were BS, or what did you see on those plays? And do you think we could have held them to 3 and outs and the score would have been a little bit different, even though our offense wasn't moving the football?
Yeah, especially the first one. The first one was definitely a bailout on Sherman, the deep DPI. I thought, I'm surprised that they changed that, honestly, because they challenged that one, right? Yeah. So, and they haven't really done a whole lot of changing of the penalties this year. So even Tony Dungy said something about it. But yeah, those were drive extenders. So essentially, we would have got off the field. We could have got the ball back. Yeah, we didn't have many yards in the first quarter, but we barely had the ball. So it's kind of tough, really to harp on that as much, in my opinion. But I wasn't that worried, honestly, based on those 2 plays.
All right, and let's go. We'll just go right across the screen here. Wayne, what are your thoughts on those 2 plays?
Those 2 plays right there. I won't say I was worried. I think those were 1-for-1 calls. I think the first one was clearly pass interference. Whether they didn't call it because they didn't think it was pass interference, but we all knew that they should have called that as pass interference. I mean, Sherman kind of got there early and pushed him on his back. I don't think the ball was catchable, and I think that's why they didn't call it. But when they went and reviewed it, Cliff got a call to go for him. So the second one, though, I'm not too fond or sure about this rule, but I guess they said that the rule was if the ball had not been thrown and he made the contact, then they wouldn't have called pass interference. But why is that pass interference? And maybe isn't there another call they would call other than pass interference? Not defensive holding, but I thought there was something else that they would call incident, something with contact.
Illegal contact.
Yeah,
Illegal contact.
The 5-yard penalty, right? Why was that not called? You know what I'm saying? Because clearly, I don't know. You go back and rewatch. Go ahead.
That's the thing that separates the 2. If the ball's not in the air, it's an illegal contact. If the ball's in the air, it goes to a pass interference call.
So either way, it was a penalty, is what you're saying.
They're saying it was, yes, correct.
Okay.
But I think it was basically just a stop in Richard's route, thinking the guy was going to cut, and he kind of ran into him. That's what I thought happened there, but I'm not really sure on that. Okay. Are you finished with that?
Yeah. I'm 1-for-1 on those. I mean, if you talk about all 3 of his PIs, 2 out of the 3 shouldn't have been called, but that's on me. That's
all right. And Tony, you heard NY say, the yards for the offense were a little bad, and I want to hear your synopsis on the PI calls. And do you think if those plays aren't called, do you think that we're sitting in a different? This team is sitting at a different mentality in that first quarter or first half?
The first one was pass interference because the ball hit him in the head. If the ball went out of bounds, it would have been a no call, like it was. But when they reviewed it, they saw the ball bounce right over his head, so they considered it catchable. The second one, I think that was the one where he went over the back of the defender and he swatted the ball down. If you remember, that was the third one.
That was the third one, yeah. The second one was when he stopped in route.
Oh, when they hit each other?
Face first, like this.
That was tacky because it could have went both ways. You know what I'm saying? It happens. You run into each other. The third one is the concerning one because Richard Sherman made that same exact type of play versus DK Metcalf on a 3rd and 6 versus Seattle, and it was not called. So why was it called in this game? That's the real questionable one. As far as not having yards and putting the defense out, us not having yards and it's hanging the defense out to dry because the offense is not able to move the ball, that is a major concern because, as you saw, the defense got gassed again. They went right up and down the field on it. Now, I don't know if it was adjustments or whatever it was, but they did that tempo, and the 49ers struggled with it. In my opinion, if the offense got a couple first downs and the defense was able to rest, you might see a different outcome or a different series. They would be able to stop them. But if the offense kept struggling and kept going 3 and out, possessing the ball for 1:30, 2 minutes and 6 seconds, if that kept happening, this game would have got out of control and got out of control fast because that defense had no time to rest. I mean, it was the first quarter and Buckner was on the sideline. Someone, I think, said in the group chat, where's Buckner? I said, he's gassed. You can't, you know what I'm saying? You can't force a player to be out there if the guy can't friggin' breathe. But I just feel that they were put in that situation because, A, the penalties, yes, but you can't do nothing about that. A penalty's called. A penalty's called. You're not changing it in most cases. So it kind of put the defense in a tough spot. But the continuation of the offense, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, that could have really hurt this defense for the rest of the game if they didn't pick their game up.
All right, Mike, what do you think?
Look, I have a lot of intricate notes to go over as concerning this game, but I want to save those for the actual review. The overreaction show is about being extreme. Can I be extreme for a few minutes? All right. This officiating crew was butt cheeks, bro. This officiating crew was one of the worst officiating crews I have ever seen in my life. And it literally took their official to get knocked out of the game for them to stop making BS calls. Not phone calls, but BS calls. We literally had to knock one of the officials out of the game. All right? Sit him on his butt to make him be like, you know what? Maybe I should stop making some of these bogus calls. The officiating was horrible on both sides of the ball, not just on Richard Sherman. I know that's what we're talking about.
How about them holds on Richburg, bro? Those
right.
are crucial. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Two of them. Like I'm trying to stay on point. I didn't want to move ahead, but there's plenty of stuff that I can point out. But that's some more of them, yo. Those calls on Richburg, you know what I'm saying? Like they were bogus calls, man. Like Richburg was not holding anybody. We had 3 holding penalties on the offensive line that weren't real holding penalties, and you can hear the commentator saying, I don't see it. I would have let that go. It didn't stop until we put the referee on his butt, until somebody knocked that dude out and made him be like, oh, damn. All right, okay, let me just chill for a little bit. Those guys should not be officiating in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? We heard Richard Sherman mention that also. We know how it works, and we won't see them in the playoffs and things like that. We heard Richard Sherman talking about it in this presser, but, you know, it's when it all comes down to it, man, there was bad calls on both sides, and that's one thing I will say. If you're going to officiate poorly evenly. Do it on both sides of the ball, because that pass interference on Kyle Juszczyk, that wasn't a real pass interference. I've never seen a guy not touch a player and have his back to somebody and get a pass interference called on him. I have never, in all of my years of watching NFL football, seen that happen before. I've never seen it happen. How can a guy have his back to the wide receiver in Kyle Juszczyk, looking for the ball, reaching for the ball, and get a pass interference called on him? I've never seen it before.
If anything, that should have been OPI.
Yes, that's my point. And so when I say that, I don't want people to think, oh, I'm not a Niners fan. I was cheering against the Niners and none of that BS. That's not what I'm doing. All I'm saying is the officiating was bad. Let me overreact in peace right here. The officiating crew was horrible. They shouldn't be out there again on a professional field. That's my stance on it all. Richard Sherman. Now, let me overreact on Richard Sherman. I've been telling y'all that man was getting old. He's washed up. He's not the guy for us. Richard Sherman, his age showed tonight. Nah, I'm just playing, but you know, I'm overreacting.
Yeah,
Richard Sherman.
I don't even know.
I'm not gonna lie though, Nick. I'm not gonna lie. When I saw that third one called, I'm like, yo, it's gonna like Richard Sherman all day. Like, bro, you gotta stop. I can't be the only one that felt like that.
No,
like, come on, Sherman.
I did too, Mike. I was like, yo, they just gonna keep coming at you, and they're gonna keep throwing flags because they just don't like you right now. But that the first one, was there like a misread? Like, because it looked like, I'm not saying I'm gonna overreact. Dude got toasted, but was it because he thought somebody else was supposed to be there, and then he caught up because he realized like that, like he lost it? If we go back and watch him, we go back and watch the film, we go back and break it down. I want to know if he like stops for 1 second and then tries to catch back up. Because that's what it looked like. Because he's usually not that far behind to dive to get the PI. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's usually not that far behind.
Sherman, he does this thing where he gives a lot of cushion because he knows that he doesn't have the speed anymore. Then he uses technique and knowing the routes to put himself back into play on the ball. And if it's not the route that he thinks, Sherman gets burned.
But on that play, did he give the cushion? Because if he gave cushion, then he definitely old and slow. Because there's no way he should have got over, overran. Kirk had steps on him. Like steps. And if the ball only just went over Kirk's head, well, then we in there. That's a 3 and out. It's just that it didn't. And then the Sherman had to dive to catch up. I just want to go back and rewatch. I can't wait till we watch the game. But since we're talking about Sherman, Sherman played like doo-doo in the first quarter. 3 penalties. And then he just started laying the boom down on cats. Like that's the defense adjusted. So resilience, guys. I'm gonna throw that word out there for the rest of the year. Been saying it since the beginning of the season.
Resiliency.
Mike always trying to correct somebody.
Hey, I play a lot of word games, so I'm sorry. The words with friends, Scrabble, and stuff like that.
Resilient is the word, and I said resilient.
Yeah,
good point. I didn't mean to say
they showed resiliency, but they were being resilient.
There you go. Nick,
Hey, I gotta get my dog, so I'll be back.
Me and Nick is we get and he leaves.
All right, so I'll touch on that later, but I don't agree that Sherman had a bad game. I think
first quarter, the first beginning.
Well, I mean, even then, I think some of those calls were horrible. Like, and if he doesn't get those calls, we're not talking about Sherman playing horrible.
True.
So he definitely wasn't I didn't see him as a liability. I see him the one play get beat. Was he looking for over the top help? I don't know. I have to go back and rewatch it. But moving on, Anthony, what are your thoughts on that? On the Niners being down in that first quarter or first half? Just a quick synopsis of what you thought about those penalty calls, and also the team being able to bounce back from that.
It was just total BS. I mean, PIs, holding, all this, but the team's ability to bounce back from a deficit like that. I mean, you see guys or teams who go out down, they go down 16-0 and they give up. And the fact that these guys go out there, churned out 17 unanswered points, got everything right back in the game without forcing a turnover other than the very end, I guess very two, if you will, was huge. I think the best characteristic and trait of this team is its resiliency. These guys go out there, they go out, make plays, keep them in the game. And, at some time in the first and, early second quarter, I really thought the defense did look gassed. They looked tired. And I mean, you can only fault those guys out there so much. I mean, I think after the first quarter, the Niners offense only had 5 yards, 50 yards. It was brutal. But the guys went out there, they made adjustments. Yeah, exactly. They went out there, they made adjustments, and they didn't give up on each other. And quite frankly, they didn't give up on the team as a whole. And, overall, though, I honestly thought as a unit, the secondary wasn't too impressive. I mean, guys got good pass breakups, don't get me wrong, but, at some points during the game, you did see some blown coverages. Obviously, we have to watch whether it's on the DBs or linebackers or not, but, that's the one thing the guys have been good at all season is avoiding blown coverages. And, whether whose fault it was is yet to be determined, but point is it still happened. But the guys locked in the second half. The guys were shut down. They were Clamp City, basically. And, how about Akella Witherspoon getting out there and making some plays, even if he only played a few snaps, the guy went out there. And I think after his one, I guess, coverage snap on Andy Isabella, he came up with a little limp. So it looked like Spoon isn't 100%, but the fact that he got out there and he was still able to play is a big sign moving forward. The guys, they go out there and they have full confidence in the secondary. And, I was telling Nick earlier, the pass rush was hitting home, but, Kyler Murray was still breaking the pocket and making plays, and the DBs were pretty damn good in coverage. So, even with all the penalties, the guys didn't get down on themselves. They stayed within themselves. They stayed in the game, and we won point blank. But yeah, to close it off, I got to agree with Mike, man. Those penalties were awful. I'm way younger than all you guys. I'm only 22, but I've never seen, penalties called so poorly in the game before. I've never seen that. And, it's just today's NFL, but overall, the guys went out there, they made adjustments and they won. That's the biggest takeaway from it all. 9-1, baby. 9-0.
We could sit here and we can talk about it all, crazy and everything else. But you look at the end of the day, a win is a win. It doesn't have records. It doesn't have mistakes. You only can get better. Like Kyle Shanahan always says, you're either getting better or worse or staying the same. And this team, I called the receivers out last week. I called Kendrick Bourne out again. Kendrick Bourne came out today and did his thing. He had that one, mess up where Jimmy was yelling at him. And I'm saying to myself, like, dang, only if Kendrick Bourne can remember his alignments like he remembers all these dance moves. Because he just looked like he didn't know his alignment.
Stop with this dancing stuff. Where did he mess up? I didn't see it today.
No,
Jimmy was straight yelling at him like, "Oh, Kendrick, the other side."
Yeah, the play
Like,
before
every time.
Kendrick caught the touchdown, Jimmy had to chew him out. Then
They
Jimmy
actually called the
So
timeout.
do we have to waste the timeout on that play?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So I didn't see that. What's all right? Break it down for me. So the Niners break the huddle. I'm asking for a breakdown.
Bourne lines up on the wrong side or whatever. It's down to 2 seconds. Jimmy calls the timeout. You see Jimmy cussing him out.
Well, the first play, he said, KB, other side. And then KB went over, they ran a play. Then the next play, he did the same thing, and that's when we got the timeout.
And then on the next play,
wait. So let me ask a question really quick. So was this before or after Sanders was taken out?
this was after Sanders was out, I believe.
Yeah, it was after.
Sanders pretty much sat like this whole second half.
Okay, so this was later in the game. All right, and then so they call the next play. So he yelled them 2 plays in a row. KB other side of the side. He moves. They run a play, and then the next play they have to call a timeout because he moved over to the wrong side, and it was too late to get him back over there and set. Right.
Right.
And then what happened on the following play?
He caught the touchdown.
He caught the touchdown.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be quiet, and then I'll overreact afterwards.
No, and I understand. I understand where you guys are all gonna say, well, he still caught a touchdown, but there's still mental mistakes. No, I'm saying people in general. Yes, he caught the touchdown. I'm happy for him. I'm completely glad he played really well. All I'm saying is, going forward, these are things that he needs to fix. You got to know the alignments. You can't go wasting timeouts because you don't. Now, whether he was playing Sanders' position or not, I'm pretty sure that all three of these guys or all the guys know all three positions. So that is that still comes down to you're still being taught those positions in Kyle Shanahan's scheme. You hear it all the time. So I'm sure that he gets snaps at those plays and was just confused. Look, it's just a simple mistake, but something that needs to be fixed.
It's year 3. He shouldn't be making those mistakes.
I don't know. Like I said, it's just
I disagree because it depends on. I mean, all the receiver positions are different. And
if Sanders was supposed to be out there and there's a man down, then everybody's position changes. That's
Right.
not. I'm not going to just sit here and be like, "Oh, he should have known better."
right.
Especially because you guys told me he made the same mistake twice in a row. Because I only played this much football in school. My high school career, that was it. I told you I played this much football. And I know that when they called a play, I knew where I was supposed to be lined up based off of what the play call was. I didn't listen to Mike, you're this or you're that. I listened to the play call. I know where I'm supposed to be. If a guy went down, I was screwed. Now, that's high school, not college, not professional. So I know that there's a difference. I'm just saying that if I go through an entire week of practicing something, and then you tell me that play call, I'm going to where I'm supposed to be. And then if you say, hey, other side, I got to remember that somebody's down. I'm now taking his spot. I don't know if that was the case or not, but I'm saying that that's where my mind goes. As soon as you guys explained this to me, it was like, damn, like Bourne was really messing up out there. But that was without Sanders. They planned on having Sanders out there. So
Right.
I don't know.
But I would agree with you if it happened one time. It happened back to back. You know after that first time that you're in for that player.
But the back-to-back is what lets me know that he was listening to the play call, not his position. Do you get what I'm saying? Like they do the whole they call the cadence or whatever, and it tells you where you're supposed to line up. But he has to remember I'm X this time, not the Y or whatever. You get what I'm saying? So the back-to-back is what tells me that he was listening to the play call, not the position call.
Right, but that's where I'm trying to say that I think it happening a second time is showing that he's at fault, not knowing what he was supposed to be doing, because Jimmy just corrected him and said, you know now, okay, I'm playing the Y or the X or the Z. You know what you're playing, and then you make the mistake again. Now, like I said I wanted to see some more out of Kendrick Bourne tonight. I saw some more out of Kendrick Bourne tonight. Like, it wasn't anything. But those little things, when you have to waste the timeout, they hurt. They hurt. So, what is everybody's thoughts on? What is everybody's thoughts on that whole situation? And Mike already touched on it, and we won't keep it too much on there. But obviously, he scored a touchdown, which was a big touchdown, right? And I think KB played well tonight. Like, I'm giving him his props. He played well tonight.
No drops.
Right. No, he had one, didn't he?
No, he had a missed pass, but that wasn't a drop. It was a high ball, and he was hit at the point of impact. I wouldn't count that as a drop.
Okay.
KB played his ass off tonight, bro. Come on now.
He did
KB
play well,
played his
but
ass off.
I still think he had a drop. The ball hit him in his hands, and he couldn't hold on to it. That's still a drop, bro. Whether you get hit or not.
Bro, he was 17 inches off the ground trying to catch that. For whatever reason, Jimmy Garoppolo can I overreact? Jimmy Garoppolo throws the ball extremely high to Kendrick Bourne for some reason. I don't know why. It's always across the middle. Kendrick Bourne has to jump to his fullest extension to try to get his hands on the ball from Jimmy Garoppolo. I don't know why Jimmy Garoppolo thinks he's got a 6'5" wide receiver out there. He don't, bro. There's no wide receiver on this team built like that. And for whatever reason, Jimmy always seems to deliver up really, really high to Kendrick Bourne. My man had both feet off the ground. His knees were bent, and he was fully extended trying to catch these balls and getting hit at the same time. Now, they're not going to show up on the stat sheet as drops because there was contact made by the defenders, right? So they're not going to show up as stats, but we talked about what we call a drop and what other people are going to call a drop. So I wouldn't even call that a drop because of what he had to do to even try to get his hands on that ball in the first place. That's why I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. We called a pass last week by Dante Pettis with contact a drop. So therefore, it's the same situation. It's a drop.
I think the difference was Dante Pettis caught the ball and didn't come down to the ground with it, makes it the drop. Whereas Kendrick Bourne didn't even have the ball was just too high for him to catch. I think that's what makes the drop the difference. I think that's the difference in the drop, right?
Yeah, and he does.
We thought we had 9 drops last week, Nick, and then all of a sudden we only had 5.
That's still a lot.
I know, but I'm just saying, what we saw with our eyes, and then what really came down to what drops are. What
6'3"?
I don't know. All I know is he had 4 catches for 31 yards and a touchdown.
What did you just say? Is he 6'3"?
How tall is he? 6'2", 6'3"?
I think
he's 6'1" tops.
Is he?
6'1" tops, bro. Don't give me that 6'3".
190 pounds, bro.
Yeah. So, like I said, I don't have anything bad about Kendrick Bourne tonight. I thought he had a good game.
I thought he accepted your challenge really well, and I thought he rose to the occasion. Honestly,
he did. Going through the other receivers, what do we have? Mostert had a drop. So
hey, look at the chart. Look at the chart. I'm not inside
right here, guys. What do you want to know? I don't know about.
Nick knows what I'm talking about when I say look at the chart. I put some information in there for some of these guys, and one of my biggest things, and the two Anthonys are really silent. I can't wait to hear what they have to say about this kind of stuff because, I think that the wide receivers were under the microscope this week. I don't remember seeing Pettis out there at all. I don't have the official snap counts. I didn't look it up. When I get back inside and I'm done the cigar in a few minutes, I'll be able to go inside and take a look at it. But I don't remember seeing Pettis out there. I feel like I saw Goodwin out there, less than 10 snaps. Kyle Shanahan seems to know who his guys are. Mm-hmm. And except for Richie James, he just doesn't accept that Richie James can do it. I don't know what his problem is. I would have put Richie James out there a whole lot more. But I want to hear what the two Anthonys have to say about this also, Nick. And I'm not taking the moderation thing away from you. I'm sorry about this. But
no, go ahead.
But these two guys over here are really, really quiet on all of this. And these two guys, Anthony and Anthony, they're both the reserve guys. Like me and Wayne, we respond with a lot of emotion. We come in here yelling. We come in here flipping out, right? But Anthony and Anthony are really reserved. They're level-headed and things like that. So I want to know what they have to say about all of this because to me, Kendrick Bourne had one of his best games as a 49er. Down the field blocking, his assignments and all. Now, you guys told me that he messed up 2 plays in a row. You got to remember the stream that I was watching was effing up a couple of times, especially early in the game. But he came back. He bounced back. I think that when a player is substituting for someone else, there should be an allowed adjustment period within a few plays. Now, maybe he had those plays back to back, or maybe I'm just completely wrong. Maybe it should have been obvious to him, bro. We didn't line up all 3 wide receivers on the left side. Get your ass over there to the right. You get what I'm saying? I didn't see it, so I can't speak to it, but I want to know what those guys have to say. Oh, Dante Pettis is in here. Look at him. I mean, Anthony Perry is in here with the cat. Let's go, man. Talk about it, Perry. What's up, man? And then I want to hear what Anthony's got to say.
I don't think this was like the first game where I felt like the drops didn't exactly cost the team, so they weren't really as noticeable. I mean, you saw the drops last week against Seattle, and it's easy to put those under a microscope, but they reduced the drops by half, damn near. Guys went out there and performed, and I agree with Mike. I think Kendrick Bourne had one of his better games as a Niner. What's kind of crazy to me is I think outside of Kittle, Kendrick Bourne is probably the most reliable red zone target we have. And you can't tell me I'm wrong, though, because it's like this dude gets targets in the red zone. I think he has 4 or 5 touchdowns on a year. Garoppolo looks his way and he catches it. Now, I get he had the bad drop against Seattle, but I mean, that was right before the end zone, so it doesn't count. But, what Shanahan relies on when it comes to wide receivers in the end zone is guys who can get separation. And Kendrick Bourne gets separation. He's not the fastest or the strongest, but he gets a step on his guys. And, that's just the biggest factor when it comes. And I think another thing to key on, too, is Kyle Shanahan's red zone play calling was phenomenal tonight. Ross Dwelly caught passes. Obviously, Kendrick Bourne caught a pass. And even Jeff Wilson, that was right before the end zone. But, that play call to Jeff Wilson, a wheel route, dude, or a seam route, right from the halfback position, unbelievable. And the fact that I don't know if Garoppolo audibled that or if that was the play design because Chandler Jones dropped back into coverage. But overall, Shanahan called one hell of a play, and he just called one hell of a night. Again, Kendrick Bourne, though, I agree with Mike. I think he had one of his better games as a Niner. On the day, 4 catches, 31 yards, a touchdown on 6 targets. And, Bourne isn't a yak monster. He's not exactly a contested catch guy. But in a sense, he does have good hands, and he will catch the ball. Drops happen. I get it. You're under the bright lights on Monday Night Football. These guys are playing with tight butts, and it happens. But Kendrick Bourne showed up today. I think he had a drop, though. Deebo might have had a drop. I know Marquise Goodwin had a drop. I think technically Mostert had a drop, on that wheel route that should have been caught. But the pass catchers went out there, and they caught the ball, and they did a job. So, they went out there.
I like that, Anthony, man. Very, very good, Perry. I'm going to call you Perry. I'm sorry. I like what you said. I didn't see Mostert's drop. I did see the one to Tevin Coleman in the first half, and I'm not sure if that was considered a drop or not, where Jimmy kind of, put a lot of speed on it and velocity instead of just airing it out and tossing it up.
The one when he swung out?
Yes.
I think Garoppolo was trying to lead Coleman. In my opinion, I think he was trying to lead Coleman, and Coleman just didn't come out.
Yeah. But
he had a walk-in touchdown at that point, and I think
yes, sir.
It's hard to default in that situation, but I think Garoppolo made the right type of throw to lead Coleman instead of Coleman coming out. But the play design is for Coleman to just swing out. It's not really designed for him to lead. And I don't know. I think that was maybe on Coleman a little more, but hey, they won the game, baby. They won the game.
That's right. Absolutely, absolutely. Tony, man, what's up, man? You got to speak on it, bro. You've been quiet for far too long over there, man. I want to know what your thoughts are on Kendrick Bourne and the running back catching the ball out of the backfield, man. What are your thoughts, bro?
I like Kendrick Bourne. I think he had a great game. I just think the issue with Kendrick Bourne is his mental lapses. We talk about this in the beginning of the season. That's one of Kyle's biggest pet peeves is not knowing, where to line up in formations. From day one, Kyle said in his press conference that he's going to train his receivers to play all 3 positions across the board. Now, mind you, that was 3 years ago. So in my eyes, I see that as an issue that he still is yet to know all 3 positions. I understand a guy went down, he had to jump in that spot. But if he's trained, like all the other receivers are trained for all 3 positions, it should click. So I just think his attention to detail is a little off. He is a great red zone target. I like what he's showing. The play where if you want to talk about red zone scheming plays, and that touchdown pass to Dwelly, Kyle actually did a levels concept where the back came out of the backfield, crossed the formation, and then Dwelly went above him. And just because that back crossed it, that outside linebacker went with that back, and it made a huge hole for Jimmy to throw to Dwelly wide open, untouched. So that's scheming, and it shows that Kyle stepped his game up as a play caller and scheming to help the red zone offense improve. As far as the touchdown pass to Wilson, in this game, I didn't see Kyle run. It's called a Texas route, where he attacks the line of scrimmage and then he peels into the center of the field. Why they call it a Texas route, I don't know. Maybe it's because it's almost like the shape of the bottom of Texas. It's like a sharp cut into the center in between the seams. I've never seen Kyle run that in this game today. And if you watch the coverage, I don't know if that was Chandler Jones or it was an outside linebacker. When he approached the line of scrimmage, the guy in coverage jumped outside to try to knock him off his route because he thought he was going towards the sideline, and Wilson cut it in. And then there was another gaping hole in the whole center of the field. As you saw, he went untouched. Listen, that is 100% credit to Kyle. I don't care what anybody says. Kyle's a mastermind. He finds weaknesses in defenses and he attacks them. You're not seeing the same concepts over and over. He's always switching them. And if you do see a same concept, it's from a different formation. It's not the same formations. I mean, yeah, it's pretty much what I got. Kendrick Bourne had an excellent game. If Kendrick Bourne could just get the mental aspect of the game down, stop lining up in the wrong spots, and really focus. When he's really wide open, focus on catching that ball, I think he could be a key contributor to this offense going forward. And the other hand, what the hell happened to Dante Pettis and Marquise Goodwin? Those were your two starters on day one. They were nowhere to be found today. I know 2 plays. Goodwin got one catch for 5 yards, and the other one he didn't catch. But as far as the number one, man, Deebo Samuel looks great.
I mean, what happened to those guys is Kyle's moving on. He's probably slowly but surely phasing them out. And I mean, they might be there. He's trying to use them. You saw him try to utilize Goodwin. You saw him try to get the ball to Goodwin toward the end of the game. Goodwin, that first catch he had, we like, yeah. Then the second one he dropped, which would have been for a first down. So he still has play for him, because what Kyle wants you to know is like, yo, we still got these guys on our team that ain't nobody accounted for, and I could pull them out and use them at any given moment. But as you see, he's letting these guys that can come in and make plays be part of this offense. So that's what we're witnessing, Tony. So as far as Goodwin and Pettis right now, them guys pretty much gonna be riding the pine, bro. They're gonna be dressed, but they're probably gonna be riding the pine for a while until he starts to phase them back in there. And again, man, you got to realize that, you know, we're still playing with our best weapon, still playing with some of our guys being injured. I was happy to see Sanders play today on the field, but I knew we watched Sanders every time he caught a pass, every time he took a hit, he needed help up off the ground. And I'm like, dang, yo, I never want my ribs. I like my ribs because I don't know what type of pain he was feeling. So I've been hitting the ribs before. Rib protectors don't be working in football. Cats hit you at a different spot. So I know he was in pain, but the fact that he mentally went out there, and you can see just him being there just boosted the confidence and the accountability of other receivers. Your boy Deebo Samuel just let us know that, look, Richard Sherman said it in the presser. He said, yo, that man is looking to make contact. He's not looking to avoid the contact. He's looking to see who he can run over, because all it does is get him more riled up. So
yeah, you know, it was funny because touching on that, and we'll move off of the KB stuff and we'll move off on Deebo, because, you know, you heard Richard Sherman say Deebo's just a different specimen. All of our other receivers, basically said that they're not looking for contact, where Deebo's trying to find that contact, and he's going to make you miss. Like, he's not going to allow one person to bring you down. Now, Deebo Samuel today had 8 catches. Let's bring it up here. Tyshawn Deebo Samuel, 8 receptions, 134 yards. To me, he didn't have a touchdown, but he was a receiver of the game today. I mean, easily the receiver of the game for me. 134 yards. Let's talk about Deebo because, Tony, like you said, what happened to Dante Pettis and Marquise Goodwin? And to me, what it is these just other guys are just stepping up in practice, on the game day. They're just taking the most of the opportunities that they get. And we talked about it going in, is Dante Pettis was told, by Kyle Shanahan, you get those opportunities and you have to make the most of them. And right now, Deebo is one of the guys that's making the most of his opportunity. So let's talk about Deebo a little bit, and we'll go with Mike first. Mike, what are your thoughts on Deebo Samuel going into week 11? Right? Week 11.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. So Deebo is who I thought he was going to be going into the season. I had a lot of high hopes for Deebo. I saw him as a 6 to 12 catch guy per game, a lot of short passes and getting a lot of yak. And he's turning into that these last 2 weeks. I think he's got 15, 16 catches in the last 2 games together. And he's got 250 yards in those 2 games. So he's exactly who I thought he was going to be. And I'm not going to take up a lot of time. I'm going to pass it to the other guys. I'm not going to take all the good points, but Deebo was exactly who we wanted him to be going into the season. He's that guy right now, and I'm happy about it. So go Deebo.
All right, Tony, what are your thoughts? Deebo Samuel going forward.
You're on mute now.
I like him. I like him going forward.
I'm sorry.
I think he's going to be a key piece to this offense. I just hope he keeps progressing. And if he keeps progressing, they have something very special in this kid. I think going forward, he's going to have a huge role in this offense. I think it's going to be, once Kittle gets healthy and once Emmanuel Sanders gets healthy, that's when you're going to see this passing attack really, on a consistent basis, take off with those 3 in a base formation, meaning like 2 backs, 1 tight end, 21 personnel. Then you could sprinkle in Kendrick Bourne. I really want to see freaking Richie James going. Why he 1 catch, 57 yards, and then you don't see him. But I mean, just that play right there. I mean, that play for Richie James, how he schemed that up. He said, Queensbury, whatever the hell your damn name is, take that. And 57 yards on 1 play. And that was pretty much the turning point. But I think the Niners finally, and I say this, knock on wood, we addressed the big hole. If Deebo Samuel continues to progress, this is big for us.
All right.
Yeah, man. Look, Deebo is the fire starter, man. That boy is a special talent, and you can now we can finally understand why he was drafted in the 2nd round over some of the other wide receivers that were out there in the draft that some fans thought we should have took over. Some fans thought we should have took DK Metcalf and whatever. I think Tony said it best. Like, Deebo could play all the positions. He could play the X, Y, and the Z. You know what I'm saying? And having that versatility as a young wide receiver in his rookie year, that's crazy. So Deebo going forward is only going to get better. He's only going to get better, Tony. He's only going to get better, Mike. He's only going to get better, Nick, because he's progressing. And Kyle is using him in the ways that he chooses to use him. Think about it. We watched Deebo Samuel's one game take the run and take a handoff and run up and outrun everybody. So we know his capabilities and his abilities, but there's still so much more in his treasure chest that has not been unlocked yet, that has not been revealed yet. He's a weapon, and we're going to be shooting going forward. So Deebo Samuel is that guy.
my thoughts on Deebo Samuel is like, yes, he's progressing and he's going to be that guy. And what I take from this is Deebo Samuel has been the third down guy for Jimmy Garoppolo right now, right? And he's getting that feel with Deebo Samuel, right? Now, obviously George Kittle's out right now, but this also, you know what this also does for this offense going forward when George Kittle gets back is you don't have that for sure guy of to who cover, whether it be George Kittle or Deebo Samuel on third downs. Both of them have started to make a name for themselves on third downs. And it's only going to implicate or make the defense harder to read the offense as to who the go-to guy is on third down. We've seen the Cardinals attack George Kittle on third downs with double teams and things like that, which was his first time dropping a third down pass. He was 17 for 17 going into that Arizona game, right? So we're talking about Deebo Samuel and his play and how much I think he from week 3, or I'll say from week 5 to now, we're seeing a whole different Deebo Samuel, right? And maybe it's his rookie year and he's coming through and he's learning more. He's getting better with the pace of the NFL and things like that. But I see a different Deebo. And yes, last week he dropped some passes and he dropped some crucial downs, but he also, like people have said about Kendrick is, you make some mistakes and you capitalize on the ones that you do get. Deebo capitalized more on the mistakes that he makes, right? He capitalizes more in the game in other crucial situations. He doesn't go down on first contact. He makes a guy miss. He's physical. He catches most of the passes, and he's going to drop passes like all receivers are, right? And we've been talking about this, and I've been bad and horrible on KB about this. And like I said earlier, I think KB definitely took me up on my offer tonight and played a hell of a game. But when you get all cylinders flying and firing on the same spark, this team is just going to get better. And when you get Emmanuel Sanders back, Emmanuel Sanders had a drop tonight, right? Nobody's talking about that. Emmanuel Sanders, because of his ribs, probably nobody's talking about it, right? But Emmanuel Sanders had a drop tonight. Deebo had a drop tonight. Mostert had a drop tonight. Goodwin had a drop tonight. So we're at 4 right there. And that's not even really going through and basically evaluating the receivers. Overall, this is the question I want to ask you since we're done. Mike, did you touch on Deebo already? You already touched on Deebo.
Well, I got one more thing to say about Deebo. This is how you know Deebo is the guy for the 49ers. That play on the sideline where he had to catch the ball over the defender. He bobbled the ball. He had to bring it in, and it was out on the side. It was the play he got injured on. You know what I'm saying? That play was such a heads-up play by that guy. That ball is mine, and I'm going to get it at any cost.
He had to catch the ball over 2 defenders.
You know why he makes those plays though, Mike, and other receivers on our team don't? Because he's not afraid of contact.
It's not that. I don't think Kendrick Bourne is afraid of contact either. I think the difference is his number one objective with every pass thrown to him is bring in the ball. I think there's a difference. I don't think Kendrick Bourne shies away from contact. We've seen Kendrick Bourne make some plays where he catches the ball and there's contact right then and there immediately, and Bourne will still bring it down, right? It's the wide open plays that Kendrick Bourne tends to drop and we get pissed off at him, right? It's because he's thinking ahead. Deebo's number one priority every time, and I know he has drops, but his number one priority every time is figure out how to come down with the ball. That ball got there, it hit his hand, it hit the defender's helmet, someone hit him from behind, and he was still looking, where's the ball? Where's the ball? How can I bring this thing down? And he focused so much. He showed more focus on reeling in a catch in that one play. We haven't seen a single wide receiver or target show that kind of focus for the entire 49ers roster this year. And it was astounding is the word I'm going to use for it.
Let me rephrase that a little bit, because what I'm trying to say with Deebo is Deebo knows how to change his mindset on balls that are thrown. And what I mean by that is he knows that if he's open, he's going to go for the yards after catch, but he brings the ball in 90% of the time. When he knows that he has to go up and get it, he's not his focus turns to just coming down with the football instead of his focus goes differently with different balls that are thrown to him. Whereas some of our receivers they're so open or they're going to make the catch like a Dante Pettis, right? Dante Pettis will catch something when he's wide open, right? Generally, when he plays. But if he has to change his focus to not catching the football and getting the yards after catch, he becomes that, Richard Sherman said it tonight. Most of our receivers cringe up when they're about to go take contact. Deebo doesn't. And I think that's the difference between our receivers right now, in my opinion, is Deebo doesn't clench up. Deebo doesn't do those things, and his focus goes on catching the football at certain times. Okay, this is a hard catch. I've got to come down with this football. My mindset has changed. Open field, he's looking to go yards after catch, and he knows how to fluctuate those differences, whereas other receivers on our team, I don't think know how to do that. I think a lot of our receivers are just so damn used to being wide open that they're only thinking yards after catch. But let me ask you guys this question, right? The last 3 weeks, teams have stacked the box on us with 9 guys, and we're putting it on Jimmy Garoppolo's shoulders, right? If Jimmy Garoppolo continues to perform and we continue to perform in the passing game like we are, is this going to start changing people's minds on the way to defend us? As in, stop stacking the box with 9 and allowing the run and Kyle Shanahan's scheme, or are they going to continue? Are they going to continue to stack the box on us and still just continue throughout the whole season, make Jimmy Garoppolo beat us? When game in, game out, Jimmy Garoppolo has succeeded. Yes, we lost the Seahawks game, but we were in position to win that game, and Jimmy still went above and beyond and put this team on his shoulders in that facet. So I understand that as 2 division rivals in 3 different games. What are your thoughts on that moving forward? Do you think teams are going to start to think differently about stacking the box on us and making us more of or are they just going to continue to stack the box and let Jimmy, allow or make Jimmy throw the ball on him? Let's go Tony first.
I think they're still going to make Jimmy try to beat him until if they fully show it. I honestly think if Kittle, as long as Kittle's out and as long as Sanders isn't 100%, I think you're still going to see a stacked box. When Kittle comes back and Sanders comes back 100%, that's when you're going to see teams backing off the line of scrimmage.
All right, Wayne, what do you think, Wayne?
I mean, I think they're gonna come out and continue to stop, put the guys in the box. I think the number one thing that teams are gonna want to do from now on is take away the 49ers run game. And Jimmy just gonna have to torch him up like he did today. Like, so yeah, they're gonna want to make Jimmy beat him, and that's cool because all it's doing is building Jimmy's confidence and he's getting practice with his wide receivers and building connections. So let them continue to do that. Our running game was atrocious today, but we had to take what the defense was giving us. If the run is not working at some point, like Tony said earlier, and we were calling for it, the pregame, throw some screens in there. That one screen changed this whole game. It was to Richie James. 57-yard screen pass to Richie James. And after that, it was all open. It was wide open. It was like we were hitting them with a dose of their own medicine. So, yeah, they're going to go out there, stack the box, and try to make Jimmy G beat them, which I am totally confident and okay with. You're just going to have to live with some mistakes because there's going to be some mistakes. But y'all just going to have to live with some of the mistakes and just trust that Jimmy's going to go out there and get that win.
Mike, what are your thoughts on it?
All right, I wanted to go last, but I see Perry's in here. I don't know if you have the question.
Oh yeah, Perry just jumped back in. So
I don't. Let's go with Perry first before I say anything because I hate when I take all the other talking points. So go ahead, Perry.
I think teams are going to keep stacking the box. I mean, Jimmy G didn't light it up until the second half, and Arizona has the 31st ranked pass defense in all of football. So it was a little tough to watch how they played in the first half. But I mean, Shanahan adjusted and he adapted, and Jimmy G played one hell of a game. So going forward, I think I agree with Tony. For as long as Sanders and Kittle are banged up and out, and even Breida too, I think teams will keep stacking the box. Make Jimmy G win with his arm, and up until then, and obviously the Arizona game 2 weeks ago, Jimmy G hadn't really proven too much with his arm because everything else has been coming so easy. And now, Jimmy G is lighting it up. He's really showing that he has the arm talent and he has the ability to carry the team going forward. But I still don't think that excuses teams for not stacking the box. I mean, I brought it up earlier. Kendrick Bourne gets pretty good separation in the red zone, but he doesn't get too much separation on the field. Same with guys like Pettis. I mean, I touch Richie James because we haven't seen him enough yet. But Sanders and Kittle, the one thing that's good about them is they get separation. And I mean, Deebo does too, but he's a rookie. He still has a lot to work out. And teams are going to challenge Garoppolo, so they have every reason to stack the box. And going into this Green Bay game next Sunday, I think if those guys are hurt, I think we'll see the same thing too.
And I'm going to piggyback on what Perry was saying right there. Teams are going to stack the box because they feel like Jimmy can't do it. I have been on this same exact train since the beginning of the season. Jimmy isn't doing it because we don't need him to do it. And now all of a sudden the Niners do need him to do it. And what do you see these last 3 games? We saw the coming out party for Jimmy Garoppolo the first Cardinals game. We saw him dishing and distributing and throwing to spots and not players, right? And everybody was like, oh, maybe there is something to Jimmy. And then we look at last week, right? Now, if you look at last week and you look at the stats, Jimmy Garoppolo didn't have anything impressive. It was 26 of 46, right? But it was 248 yards. But then there was 9 drops. All of a sudden, that turned it into 33 catches out of 46. And Kyle Shanahan came out and said it was for 108 yards. Instead of his 248, that takes it to 316. There's a big difference. Jimmy Garoppolo coming out and having the game that he had against Arizona, and then 316, 33 of 46. All that stuff changes everything. And then he has this 400-yard game today, 3 or 4 touchdowns. I don't remember how many it was. 3 or 4 touchdowns over 400 yards. All of a sudden, people are like, damn, Jimmy can actually do it because it's 3 games in a row, right? But once we eliminated the drops, and we didn't eliminate all the drops, we just eliminated some of the drops. And he went over 400 yards today. He went over 3 or 4 touchdowns today, right? If you sit here and you are an opposing defense and you think, man, as long as we stop the run, we're okay. But Jimmy Garoppolo is showing you something different, then it works out in our favor. Now all of a sudden they can't stack the box because they think, damn, Jimmy really can do this. So if we stack the box, they're just going to pick us apart in the secondary. And that's what's happening right here. That's what we've been saying has been available all year, but we haven't had the opportunity to show it. And now that we have the opportunity to show it, we're doing it, and teams are going to have to respect this. It's going to come slowly. It's going to come surely. People are going to say, oh, well, it was just the Cardinals. Oh, well, it was just the Seahawks. They're going to give you all that rigmarole about all that. But I think Jimmy has been available and been able to do it all along. He just hasn't had the need or the necessity to do it. Now that he has to do it, he's doing it, and doing it at a high rate too. The wide receivers, the running backs weren't doing anything this game. They dared us to throw. And I'll be damned if they didn't pay for it. They paid for it tonight, man. You know what I'm saying? Like the Cardinals came out here and they thought they had a game plan. Man, if we stop Jimmy Garoppolo from throwing and we stop the run game. No, they're playing with, if we stop the run game, they can't throw on us. They were wrong. Jimmy Garoppolo carved those guys up out there. You go back and you watch the 49ers game against the Seahawks. I know that the numbers don't show it, but look at the missed passes. Look at the drop passes. Jimmy Garoppolo carved that Seahawks secondary up. And you look at the week before that, again, it was against the Cardinals. He carves them up as well. I have no problems with what the NFL is going to try to do to stop us. They can sit here and focus on the run game. Fine. You do that to your own detriment. The Niners are coming, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Jimmy can throw. The Niners can run if you don't stack the box, and we're going to figure out which one you're trying to do. We're going to make you think we have a game plan in those first 3 or 4 drives, just like Kyle Shanahan did this week. I told you guys that was a game plan. I said, this is chess. Kyle Shanahan is going to come out, and what you're going to see on the first 3 or 4 drives is not what you should expect the rest of the game. And he flipped the switch. He turned it to Jimmy Garoppolo, and Jimmy Garoppolo ripped that secondary apart. That's what you're going to see from this guy. Kyle Shanahan knows the strengths and weaknesses of his team, and honestly, I don't think there is a weakness on this team. I think that we can pass if we have to, as long as they catch it. I think we can run if we have to. You know what I'm saying? So this team is good. And if the opposing defense has a weakness, Kyle Shanahan will exploit it. So that's my thoughts on it. The running backs didn't do a whole lot. You see the numbers right there on the screen: 18 carries, 27 yards. The longest run of the day was only 4 yards. That is pathetic. That's pathetic, right? But when you see a quarterback throw for over 400 yards, all of a sudden you're like, oh, damn, never mind. Because the average NFL team that wins a game only goes for 400 total yards in a game. That's total. That is total, okay? An average team that wins only goes for 400 yards in a game. Jimmy Garoppolo threw for more than that on his own, not counting the running back. So I'm good, man. There's no solid way to stop this team, and they're going to be scratching their heads. They're going to be hitting the drawing board trying to figure it out, and there is no answer. This 49ers team is ready, man. That's all I got.
You know, I just find it kind of interesting. That's why I wanted to hear what you guys had to say, is because, you know, we're talking about, you heard him talking on the broadcast. Like, the way to stop this 49ers team that people think is the way to stop them is to stack the box and stop the run, because Kyle Shanahan's system works better or more proficient off of play action. Now, the other thing that we did tonight that I was still happy with is we still ran the ball some at certain downs, like on certain plays. But when we opened it up to those screens, obviously, which we didn't do last week, I thought we should have did more of, things changed. And, you know, going in, so we talked about Deebo Samuel. We talked about Kendrick Bourne, right? We haven't talked about Jeff Wilson Jr. yet, but we'll save that because that's like towards the end with the game winner. But what were your thoughts overall on this offense? Like, let's give this offense tonight, just watching the game live. Obviously, this isn't rewatching the game. But if you had to grade them from A to F, what would you grade this offense tonight in all considerations? Go ahead, Mike.
With all considerations, the run game was anemic. 18 carries, 27 yards is horrible. Jimmy Garoppolo going out there and throwing for 420 plus yards is an A+. I think that averages out to a B, a solid B. Anytime that your offense puts up over 450 yards, that should be an A grade. I'm going to give him a B just because I wanted to see a little bit more from running backs. And, all the touchdowns, the points and everything, it balances out. You know, they took away one thing, we hit them with another, and the team did what they had to do. I'm going to give the 49ers offense a B+. That's my grade.
B+. All right, let's go with Anthony first.
You know, if it wasn't for Jimmy Garoppolo's career day, I would probably give the offense like a D or a C if I'm feeling generous. You know, Jimmy Garoppolo carried the offense, and the wide receivers did a pretty good job, but overall it was all Garoppolo. You know, the run game couldn't get going. Pass protection was not that good again for Garoppolo, and, you know, it was a lot better than how they did against Seattle. I think John Bedden and the guys really coached up the OL. But overall, I still felt like Garoppolo was getting pressured on quite a few of his dropbacks, and it showed. But, man, Garoppolo for 400 yards, 4 touchdowns, a couple picks. You know, he carried the team, and I agree with Mike, too, before he left, is I wanted to see more out of the run game. And, you know, a lot of that shows with the offensive line play, but, you know, they played average. They didn't play too good, but they also didn't play too bad. They did look really good on screenplays, though, setting blocks moving forward. You know, Shanahan called really nice screenplays for guys like, I think Raheem Mostert had a couple. Kyle Juszczyk, obviously, you know, those guys, they were really successful on their screenplays. And, I'll give the offensive line props for that because, again, they looked really good. The downfield blocking was fantastic. But as for blocking overall, I think it could have been better. So I will roll with a B because of Garoppolo.
All right, and before we jump on to Wayne, listen to these stats real quick. Jimmy G versus the Cardinals, 75.6% completion percentage, 370.5 yards per game, 9 yards per attempt, 8 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Jimmy G versus non-Cardinals, 66.4% completion rate, 217 yards a game, 7.4 yards per attempt, 10 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Do we have ourselves a new Arizona Cardinal killer? And then we'll talk about that after this. But Wayne, I want to hear what your thoughts are on the grades.
I'm going to give the offense a B minus. And here's why. Jimmy G, you give him an A plus. That's cool. That 100 helped him get this B minus. And I'm going to tell you why. Obviously the run game. I mean, it's hard to grade the run game because the run game was just faced with 8 to 9 people up there to front, and it was just hard to find lanes. So therefore, if the run game couldn't get going, you can't grade the offensive line run game that high, and you can't grade the offensive line pass game that high, because like you said, Anthony, they had pressures. And then I gotta focus on tacking on some of those drops. Like some of those drops helped the grade go down, and then you gotta tack in some of those penalties. Some of those penalties caused us to score points and then caused interceptions to happen from Jimmy G. You gotta think about that. That one hole that was on I think one was Richburg when we were at the damn near at the goal line, and then we got it called back, and then next time Jimmy G throws the pick. It's things like that we still are learning and still have to mentally be better at, and it sucked because they played well, they played hella well physically, but mentally they still caused mistakes, and they still didn't get we should have been able to put up 40 burger on this team easily with or without the run game. Jimmy G was looking electric. He looked like he was literally carving a Thanksgiving turkey. And Mike said he's looked like that for the past 3 weeks. He's looked like he is able to look at a defense and attack it with pressure. So I give him a B minus, man. That gives them a lot of headroom to improve. And if they want that A from me, they got to get the run game up. They got to stop making silly penalties. Even if the run game still stayed the same and it was still effective enough for the passing game to go even higher, maybe 500 yards or less penalties on the offensive side, like I would bump that grade up, even with the run game being as a minimum. But there's only so much the run game can do with 8 guys right there in front of the face, in front of your face. So, that's my grade. I'm sticking to it. Now you can do about it.
All right, so I think I'm going to give him a B as well, but I'm not going to put it all on Jimmy because I think these receivers are actually obviously starting to help Jimmy with these games because they have to catch the football, right? All over the field. I think it's just, I don't want to sit here and say that Jimmy is just Jimmy the last 3 weeks because we haven't really had to see it from these guys. But to get 424 yards, you also have to have good on the other end. And that'd be the receivers, that'd be the running backs, that'd be the play calling, just a lot of it. But obviously it starts with the execution of Jimmy Garoppolo. I'll give the offense probably, I'm going to go with a B as well. I'm not going to go B plus. I'll go with a B minus. Just because there were a few things that we need to touch on. Now, getting back to those stats, Wayne, I want to know, do you think that Jimmy Garoppolo can be a what Larry Fitzgerald was to the 49ers?
I think Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be he's progressing to be a NFC West kryptonite to all the teams, Joe. And you're going to see remember, Jimmy, I don't think we're taking into consideration either that Jimmy is still learning the play calls. Jimmy is still learning the playbook. The playbook is constantly changing. I think what Jimmy is grasping now are the concepts Because if he's able to school his guys, like, look, you're in the wrong spot, blah, 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 that's letting you know that this guy is getting it, right? That's letting you know he's getting it. You're looking at his toughness, his ability, his confidence, and let's just call it like it is. He's played very well against the NFC West this year, right? If we pull up his stats against the Rams, even though the game wasn't like, high scoring, he still played well. He played excellently well against the Cardinals in both games. Didn't he have 4 touchdown passes in the last game against the Cardinals?
Yep.
And he played the Seahawks well. It's just we didn't get the dub. So I think, how other teams, how we're saying, oh man, we gotta deal with Kyler Murray for a long time. We gotta deal with Jared Goff and Russell Wilson. I guarantee you the NFC West is saying we gotta deal with Jimmy Garoppolo. That's, my friends, is what's going down right now.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. And this comment up here says the pocket presence definitely has gotten better throughout the season from Nicholas Worth. And I agree with that. I think that, that was a really smart play on him tonight as well. When he was being sacked and before he got away, he looked to see who was over there and threw the ball out of bounds instead of taking the sack. Now, if we could just get Jimmy to be smart like that on all the plays, stepping up in the pocket, because sometimes he didn't tonight, but he has gotten a lot better with stepping up in the pocket, knowing what his surroundings were, throwing the football away. He's definitely we're watching this guy grow week in, week out. And while a lot of people hold him accountable for a lot of things, we have to remember he just passed over 16 games in the NFL as a starter. He literally just passed over that. But I mean, that was a huge play right there. It was not a turning point in the game to give them things, but that he kept them from getting that momentum of moving forward and changing the momentum in the game by getting rid of that. Because that would have been a loss of it would have probably been what, 3rd and 16, 3rd and 17, which something that we couldn't have completed to move forward. So just those heads up presence and better awareness in the pocket, you can see his growth, and it's kind of interesting to see. But I don't want to stay too much on the offense, man. I want to talk about this defense because this defense was gassed in the beginning. But you know what's funny? And I wanted to ask Tony this question. Our defense was not awake until that 57-yard catch from Richie James. We went down and scored in 1 minute and 25 seconds. We didn't give this time for defense to rest. But once we scored, this defense came out firing on all cylinders. The next 3 drives were 3 and outs. So for us to sit here and say that this defense was gassed, they were gassed, they may have been gassed. But this offense, when they scored, this defense got fired up. Like, we just scored. It's a 16-7 game. We're going into this now with our heads on fire, and we're pinning back. Did you guys notice that as well?
Absolutely. I told you that, and I wrote it in my notes, that Richie James play was the game changer. It was the time, it was the play that just changed everything about the game for the 49ers. Everything just changed. The mojo, the energy, the crowd got louder, like everything just super shifted and that moment, and then they just went on a run. The defense definitely fuels off energy. Sometimes the defense is going to come out there and punch in the mouth. I think what was happening on the defense, they were getting gas only because they were staying on the field longer than what they should have been staying on the field for. Those extra, those 2 PI calls kept the defense off. They had a 3 and out. They had 3 and outs on both of those. Those were both on 3rd downs. All 3 of them were on 3rd downs now that I think about it. So, it's just that in the beginning, I think what I try to encourage us to be is you know what, if it doesn't work out in the beginning, we still got a lot of football left to play. And after listening to Richard Sherman's presser about those calls, he was like, sometimes you're gonna get them And sometimes they're gonna call it, and sometimes they're not gonna call it. But I still got a game to play. Like, it's still a lot of game left. And that's not gonna make me change up who I am or the way I'm gonna play the game. I think for the 49ers, that's what they were doing on defense, yo. They had to figure out a way to counter, Kyler Murray, because Kyler Murray was running. He ran more this game than he did the last game because he knew.
He had the same amount of rushing yards as Kenyon Drake, 67 yards
Jeez,
on five runs.
So he knew he was gonna have to make plays with his feet, extend plays, keep plays alive. So with that being said, the 49ers just had to find a way to remain to be more disciplined on the defensive end when it came to containment, and they did just that. But it wasn't until that offensive ignition where it just said, "Hey man, you know what? How many times have the defense said, Jimmy, we got you?" Well, on this time, Jimmy was like, "Hey D, I got you," and that's what happened. Jimmy and that offense came together. They ignited the whole team. And from there, even though it looked like it was going to start going back and forth, you give me Jimmy G in the shootout all day. I could take Jimmy G in the shootout. For some reason, he's more focused. Don't know what that means, but
he definitely performs a lot better under pressure.
Yeah, that's just who he is. That's his whole.
And it could be like when we talk about receivers, is he just thinks too much, overthinks too much. And because some of his best throws have come under pressure compared to just standing with a clean pocket back there and overthrowing guys or making throws that we just look at like, oh man. Go ahead, Mike. I see you got something to say. Welcome back.
I'm sorry, I was looking at the game, not you.
Oh, well, what is your thoughts on the defense? We're going into the defense now, and I talked about how it was funny that this defense may have been gassed, and Wayne talked about saying, yeah, they were probably gassed because of the penalties, kept them out there longer than they were supposed to, but it was like something switched. As soon as this offense scored, this defense stepped up another level. And it was kind of weird to me because the defense wasn't playing well. The offense wasn't playing well. The offense comes out, gets the 157-yard gain. We punch it in a minute and 25 seconds. Didn't give the defense much time to sit and rest. But they came out like they were fresh. The next three series were 3-and-outs. Why do you think that is, and what are your thoughts on the defense overall tonight?
It's a great question, man. First of all, I love the defense. The defense is the heart and soul of this team. You take away this defense, the 49ers are nothing. So I want to make that very clear going forward. Nick, you're absolutely right, though. It seems like this defense needed a spark from the offense. It was kind of a message of, hey, if you guys let us know that you're in it with us, we'll kill ourselves to make sure you guys have the opportunity. They were kind of, I don't want to call it flat. The Cardinals hit us with a couple of gimmicks, the hurry up offense and things like that early on, and the screen passes and things like that. The Cardinals did what they had to do, but those aren't things you can do all game long. Once the gimmicks ran out, once the hurry up ran out, once their offense got tired, because there's two sides of it, Yeah, the defense gets tired also during the hurry up, but so does the offense. The offense, especially if you're not getting the ball in your hands, you're winded. You're tired, You can't sustain that all game long. And when that happened, our offense finally stepped up and said, hey, guys, look, we got your back. I was a little worried that the offense was going to score too quick. You know what I'm saying? It was, what was it, a minute and 12 seconds, minute 24, something along those lines. And it was like, did we do it too fast? But the defense came out and said, no, we're here. And the defense showed a unified front tonight. This is the first time in a long time that I think that the 49ers defense, they represented each other with individual play. That sounds stupid. That sounds crazy. Maybe even confusing, right? But you look at a Forrest Buckner sack, right? He didn't do his sweeping thing, right? He did Ronald Blair's I'm here now. He kicked the door down for Ronald Blair. Shout out to Ronald Blair. And then, it was like, did he just do that because it was the freshest thing on his mind? No, because when the microphone came on and he was at the post-game presser, he said, Ronald Blair is like a brother to me. You know, we have never heard that before. The only brother to DeForest Buckner that we heard of was Eric Armstead, and that's because they played together. He never claimed anybody else as like a brother to me. This team is fighting for the man next to them, whether they are on the field or not, especially with the defense. I loved hearing it. I love seeing it. These guys help each other up off the ground. If one guy, if an opposing offensive player pushes a defensive player, you got three guys to deal with now. You know, it's the mentality of this team. And then it's something that I love it, bro. I don't have any, I don't know what else to say. I love exactly what I'm seeing from this defense, man.
You know, Ronald Blair and DeForest Buckner have been really, really close since they were drafted. And I'm sure that this is a big hit for DeForest Buckner as well, because he likes to see guys around him succeed. If you can remember going back when they were first drafted, they were over in Hawaii in his hometown training, and they were on a video together, and they were drafted together, you know, in the same draft and things like that. But Mike, you're right. This team just plays for each other. And I'm telling you, as soon as we were talking about it in the group chat, and everybody's like, don't score too fast. And I'm like, hell no. Like, go down a score, stop them, and go score again.
Well,
like,
I was with it. I got it because it wasn't about scoring too fast because of you know, it was more about if we scored too fast, the defense still didn't catch their breath. I was with that mindset because I was worried. It was like, damn, man, like did we score too fast? Are they going to be too tired? Because us scoring 7 points and then the Cardinals coming right back down the field and scoring 7 points, it's a moot point. It washes out, it nullifies it, you know? And so I wanted to know that the defense was rested enough to get a stop. I wasn't sure until they did it. So it was, you know, I was happy to see it.
Yeah. Just I want to address this comment because they didn't go to college together in Oregon. That's Eric Armstead and DeForest Buckner, not Ronald Blair and DeForest Buckner. So anyway, Mike, like you said, I was just like super ecstatic. I'm like, heck no, like just score and then get the ball back. Like, and the minute that defense came back out, it was like a whole new team. Once we scored, the defense was a whole new team. They looked totally different. Whether they were gassed, they were tired, they were flat, whatever it was, they looked like the defense that we saw all year come out on those next three drives. It was 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. Because
they believed that if we hold them, the offense can do something. It might not be a touchdown, but the offense can do something. And the offense gave it to them. You know, that's exactly what the offense did. They gave those guys 17 unanswered points. The defense held the offense of Arizona, and the 49ers offense went out there and shredded the Arizona defense. We gave them 17 unanswered points. That's 3 scoring drives. You know, and that's all you can ask for. Hey, if I do my job, Nick, I want to make sure you can do your job. I want confidence in the man next to me to know that he can do what he's supposed to do if I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And that's the key to victory. So it was very important. I was nervous. I'm not going to lie. I won't sit here and make any qualms about that. I thought that maybe we went down the field and scored a little too quick, but they held it down. You know, the defense was like, no, that was all we needed. Now, you know, here's another play that you guys probably nobody would think about in how we look out for each other on this team. Do you remember the DeMontre Moore when he jumped off sides and he almost tackled Kyler Murray? And Nick Bosa's like this to him. And nobody will look at that and nobody will think about that. But he was telling him, like, deep breaths, like, it's okay, relax, just don't do that. You know what I mean? Because he's new on this team. Nick Bosa took the corrective initiation and said, relax. He was telling him, like, that, literally with his hands like this, like, calm down. Like, you'll get to him, just calm down. We don't need those stupid penalties. And that's a way that this team looks after each other. Now, talking about DeMontre Moore, you can see it also. This guy was so emotional when he made that play, and the team was around him being supportive of him. That's another way of you can see how this team plays for each other. So, you know, it's just kind of interesting. Let's talk about a few players tonight. And let's talk about Jimmy Ward's play. Let's talk about DeMontre Moore. And let's talk about
Elijah Lee. Because to me, we'll talk about Jimmy Ward first. He had the one breakdown, which really surprised the hell out of me. Because he just doesn't break down like that. He's not a breakdown guy. He attacks. And tonight on that touchdown, he literally just broke down in the middle of the field for some odd reason. What were you guys' takes? Jimmy Ward balled out other than that. But what were you guys' takes on Jimmy Ward tonight? Playing first.
Was that the play he got? He went out to the sideline and had to get like retaped or something. He got injured.
No, this was on the touchdown.
Hmm.
It was like the quick screen, and then he just broke down at like the 2-yard line.
That was the screen to.
And his ankles got broke. Yeah.
I thought that was on Elijah Lee.
No, Jimmy Ward was out there on the one touchdown.
I gotta watch that again. I thought that was on Elijah Lee. Elijah Lee was lined up on the outside. They had Fitzgerald in the slot, and Elijah he never moved. But you're saying that was Ward that never moved?
No, he was out, and he came up to play almost at the goal line, and he broke down. And the guy made a single move on him, and he like just put his one arm out, and he.
Oh, that's a different play. All right, that's
yeah,
not
on the touchdown. Yeah, on the one touchdown.
That was a different play. Yeah. I thought he just got ankle broke. Yo, dude put the one jukey on him, and that was it. Maybe he couldn't cut or something. Other than that play right there, though, like he did have a pass break up in the end zone. Jimmy Ward has been consistently balling ever since coming back to this team from his injuries. So I'm all in on Jimmy Ward. I know a lot of people call him discount this, blah, blah, blah. He stayed injured, all that good stuff. I think that stuff we could put in the past right now because Ward is playing damn near all pro football right now with this 49ers. He's a 49ers all pro at this moment. And him being on the field just allows the security of the defensive players to play the way that they're playing. With his elite level of playing. Plus, this is the reason why Kyle wanted Ward on this team. Like now, we didn't see it, but there were reasons why the coaches were going to war for. We just got to get him healthy. We just got to get him healthy. Once he gets healthy, like it's gonna fit. Once he gets healthy, this Ward is gonna be the guy. He's not getting the interceptions and the pick sixes and all that type of stuff, but pass breakups, guys. Like not finishing on plays, guys. Those are huge. Those are those third down plays where you be like, oh, it's a first down. Nope, Ward just broke up the play. Like that's the stuff that Jimmy Ward has been asked to do. That's the assignment he's been given. He's not playing free safety where he's just free roaming around. This dude is covering cats, cuz like Jimmy Ward is balling. So yeah, I don't know if something was wrong with his ankle because he did come out the game prior to that, and I think Mike was like he went to go get retaped, or you said he was going to go get retaped up. Maybe his tape was too tight because
they put it on a lot tighter. Like they put on a lot more on it.
That dude put the one move on him, and Ward was just like, okay, like it was just like a matador, and just go ahead. Like so that was yeah. Other than that, man, Ward's been balling, man. He's been balling, guys.
Yeah, and Mike has always been a guy for Ward. Throughout his entire career here. I've been hard on Jimmy Ward, and it wasn't because of talent. It was never because of talent. It was just a matter of best ability is availability, right? And we've talked about this, but I did make a bold prediction this year and said that if Jimmy Ward played, he would ball out, or he would play all games. Well, obviously I didn't get that bold prediction right because he, broke his hand or whatever. But when he's in there, he's balling. He's balling. So, Anthony, what were your thoughts on Jimmy Ward?
Other than that nasty missed tackle he had in the end zone, he balled out, man. It's, early in the season, no one was really talking about how, this is a contract year for Ward and we're going to need to bring him back. I mean, no one really said like, oh, we shouldn't really need Ward at the end of the season. I mean, he's always hurt and blah, blah, blah. Now, with the way Jimmy Ward is playing, he looks like he should be a priority re-signing from the offseason. That's how good he's playing. And, he's definitely one of the more underrated pieces of this defense. He gets, like Wayne said, he doesn't get the sexy stats. He doesn't get pick sixes. He doesn't really force fumbles. but he gets pass breakups. He makes tackles, and overall, he's just a reliable dude when he's healthy. And I think a lot of us were hard on him because we hadn't really seen, his full potential because he's always been hurt so much. And now that he's out there healthy and making plays, I mean, he's one of the best defensive players we have on this team. Certainly the most underrated, and he definitely deserves more love. And when he got hurt, I was thinking like, oh man, I don't mind Tavarius Moore out there, but I think losing Ward would have been huge. And he came out for a few plays, came back in, and everything was fine. So, Ward's overall play on the season is definitely one of the biggest aspects of why the Niners defense has been successful as a whole. And going forward, the guy, he doesn't put up the stats, but the guy's a playmaker. He really is. And it's just nice to see him getting solid playing time. It's nice to see him contributing on the defensive side of the ball. And he's really, beating all the people who hated on him up. He really is. I just can't believe the guy's been healthy for so long now. And, it almost feels like an aberration because I wouldn't have expected them to be, fully healthy at this point in the season. But, I digress. The guy's making plays. The guy's getting the job done. And we need him, man. He's really balling out. He's a stud.
Mike, you've been a Jimmy Ward supporter, man, forever. I want to hear what kind of issue got to talk about Jimmy Ward and going forward, and how does he complement this defense and how he played today?
In short, Jimmy Ward has always been one of the best 11 available guys. He just hasn't been healthy. When healthy, Jimmy Ward is up there, man. A lot of people held, the Brandon Ward game, the Brandon Marshall game against them. That was his first year. It's not just you guys. It's not just y'all. I'm not talking about y'all in particular, although I did say we were keeping receipts this episode. It's not just y'all, but there were a lot of people who said, "Oh, he gave up 3 touchdowns in that game." It was 5'9" or 5'10" against 6'4", 6'5". That's on coaching. You got to help that guy out. But he was there, and this is what I was trying to tell people. As a DB, you can only be where you're supposed to be and try to make a play on the ball. Doesn't mean you're gonna reach. Doesn't mean you're gonna break it up. Doesn't mean you're gonna make the tackle. Doesn't mean that you're gonna make a play on the ball. It just means that you have to be where you're supposed to be. And Jimmy Ward has always been that guy to me. Tonight, we see the 5 tackles, 1 assist. Robert Saleh sent him in on a blitz, got the sack. It's one thing to go out there and say, I'm going to do my job, and when they call my number, I'm going to do whatever they ask me to do. He could have blitzed, and he could have half-assed it and just been like, well, I went back there and I disrupted the play. That wasn't it. Jimmy Ward's not afraid of contact. Let me change. Not all of his injuries. I would say majority of Jimmy Ward's injuries are due to him playing against guys bigger than him. He sacrifices his body for the greater good. And some people hate that about Jimmy Ward. Personally, I like it. I wish he was not as frail. I wish he could sustain a hit and keep going, but that's not who he is. He's a small frame guy going up against guys a lot bigger than him, and he's not afraid to throw his body around against these guys. And that's what he does. Jimmy Ward leaves it all on the line every single play. If the team had 11 Jimmy Wards out there, it would be a really, really good team. And that's how I judge these guys. I'm not gonna beat a dead horse. Jimmy Ward did his thing tonight, and everybody sees it. He had the leading amount of tackles in the secondary. He was tied for first in sacks. We had 3 or 4 different guys with 1 sack tonight. He's not going to get the assisted tackles because he's got a side of the field to play on every play. So there's some plays that he's taken out of the play. But Jimmy Ward is a solid guy, and we're fortunate to have him on our side. That's my final words on Jimmy Ward.
This just brings me to the question now, since we just talked about him. All right. Anthony said something in his thing is he's starting to look as to, and he probably pretty much answered the question, but he's starting to look to as Jimmy Ward being one of the main 11 guys for the success on this defense. Do you guys at this point in the season right now think about bringing Jimmy Ward back? Not right now, but is it something that you think should be a priority in the offseason?
Yeah, man. I think you bring this exact defense back, all of it, every piece of it, if possible. Contracts, money, however they got to work it out. I think they find a way to get this done because this defense is special. Every piece on this defense, and of course you add to it. You draft whatever you need to do or supplement how you see fit in free agency. But I don't think the 49ers want to mess up anything. The locker room must be good. The defense is getting along. They're holding each other accountable. They're doing things for one another outside of football. You got DeForest Buckner doing his teammate celebration to pay homage to a guy who put his life out on the line and tore his ACL and his season-ending injury to just stop Russell Wilson for a tackle. Like that right there is why you bring every single person on this defense back, because you want to keep this going as long as you can. I know contracts, I don't get into the contract stuff. That's your job. But like, I know that stuff is going to have its way in because then it comes down to money. Can we afford it? If he's a free agent, will somebody probably offer him the big bucks? Probably will. But you try to bring this defense back. This defense, according with the coordinator and all the coaches.
All right, Mike. I already know what Anthony's answer is, so I want to hear what you have to say.
All right, so I am looking to bring him back. There's a lot of guys that I want to, but specifically Jimmy Ward. I like him, man. I think we could do a lot worse than Jimmy Ward in the secondary. So, a lot of people beat him up about the injuries and things like that, but I think the injuries are what drive the cost down. I think it makes it more affordable for the 49ers, and those are the kind of players that we're looking for. We're looking for guys who bring quality snaps on a per-snap basis, but their costs won't drive us through the roof and set us over the top. So, give me Jimmy Ward. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, and before we move on here, Green Mobster, appreciate you, man. He says, over under Pettis and Goodwin surviving the offseason.
No. I can guarantee you both of these guys won't be back next year.
I don't know about Pettis. I'm not sure how that's gonna work. I definitely know Goodwin won't be back. It's clear as day. I don't know how we do the Pettis situation. He was a draft pick. Do we move on from the draft pick and cut our losses? Is that what we do? Do we keep him on the roster due to injury? Like, just for things to happen, because I don't know. So we give him another year. This is his what? This is his second year? Second year, right?
1 more year left next year.
Right. So I don't think.
Wait, he's got 2 years after this year. This is Pettis' sophomore year.
I thought he only got a 3-year contract.
The second round pick, he got 4.
Second round, that's right.
Okay, so I don't think we give up on him yet, guys. I don't think Kyle is going to give up on him. Now, with that being said, if Kyle might try to move him, I don't know, but we gotta get him going. We gotta get Pettis going. But as far as Goodwin is there, he's been replaced, man. Like you're seeing it. You got Richie James. I mean, there's reasons why we're not utilizing Richie James all the time, and we're throwing sprinkles out there. But you can clearly see that this guy can run, right? So, yeah, Goodwin's gone.
It's funny because you said that we have to, give him the shot. I think that Pettis needs to give himself the shot. Like, I think all of this is on Pettis. Like, I don't think it's on the coaching. I don't think it's on giving him the opportunity. I think it's more so him taking the opportunity and excelling with it.
And capitalizing on it. I agree with you, Nick. I just think that what I mean by giving him the shot, I just don't think, do we give up on a person going through their sophomore season? Everybody goes through the sophomore slump. So do we give up on them, quote unquote, that sophomore slump, and then he comes back out, works in the offseason, works his butt off, comes back stronger, comes back smarter, stops playing with cats? I don't know. I don't know what we do with Pettis. But I know we got him for 2 more years, like you guys said. So I don't think it would be wise to move on from someone that we've seen can work.
Yeah, Mike, you were gonna say something. I wanted to hear what you had to say.
Pettis' off season is more important than this season. I will say that. And I'm going to piggyback on what Wayne was just saying. You know, the sophomore slump is a real thing. Teams key on your tendencies and your habits, and they shut you down, right? And that's what Pettis may be going through right now. That said, if he comes back, and we in the group chat on Twitter, Eric Crocker, Rob Louder, Matt Mayoko, Matt Burrows, a lot of these guys reported on Pettis' play throughout preseason, throughout training camp, and the practices, right? And they all said that he did not look good. All right. That's fine. That happens. You get to the game and you're seeing the same exact thing. If he has another off season like that, he's gone. He's not going to make it. That said, if he turns it around in the off season, he can buy himself time the following this coming season. The off season is the most important time for Dante Pettis. They might chalk it up to a sophomore slump, like Wayne was saying. But if he comes out and he is absolutely flat, still seems unenthused or unenthusiastic, if he comes out and seems lethargic during the following offseason, he's gone. This team will not bring him back to this 53-man roster if they don't think there is something valuable there. They're not going to bring him back. It's just that simple. We saw it in the offseason, and then the team said, you know what? Sometimes there are guys who are better in real games than in practice. They gave him the benefit of the doubt. It's not happening. I think they're going to ride this season out, this current season. Like Wayne said, maybe it's a sophomore slump, but then he has to show improvement in the next coming offseason, in the training camp. And if he doesn't do that, I think he's gone.
No, go ahead, and then I'll touch on it.
No, I'm just saying. And so that's it.
You know, you sit here and you look back and you think about it, right? So the first year you got speedy guy like Marquise Goodwin, right? Then you draft a Deebo Samuel, who's like a shifty guy. You draft a Trent Taylor, who's like a shifty guy, right? But the last 3 guys that we brought in here are all physical guys.
Hurd,
Deebo, Emmanuel. Even though Emmanuel's small, he's still a physical guy, right? He's not afraid of contact. Are we starting to see the change in what? Obviously, there are guys who are shifty and can still get open, right? Because Jalen Hurd was a running back, so he's athletic. He can do those moves and things like that. Deebo Samuel has always been a yards after catch guy with quick slants, quick speed, but physical. Then you look at Emmanuel Sanders. He'll run across the middle. He'll run outside. He can get open. But are we seeing right now a change in Kyle Shanahan's concept of what he's looking for in a receiver? And because the first 3 years, Trent Taylor, Marquise Goodwin, Dante Pettis, all real fast, shifty, type of receivers. But now we're moving into that more physical type of receivers. And is that something that may hurt? Because Dante Pettis, I wouldn't say is a sophomore slump this year. I think it's just non-existent. Like, he's just not there. Like, in any terms of or options that he's gotten. So, but I want to hear Anthony's theory on Dante Pettis and Marquise Goodwin. And then I want to hear your guys' theory if you think that is the direction that we're headed as well. So, Anthony, what do you think about Marquise Goodwin being here next year and Dante Pettis over under?
I think going into the offseason, this is going to be really broad, but I think it makes sense. I think Deebo Samuel and Jalen Hurd are the only 2 wide receivers that are safe on the roster coming into next season. Now, this is before Sanders gets re-signed. I'm not going off the guys getting re-signed because we don't know. But quite frankly, I think Jalen Hurd and Deebo are the only 2 safe wide receivers. I mean, I love Richie James, don't get me wrong, but he's not getting playing time for a reason. That's just a fact of it. Even if he's effective, and even if we say as much as he needs to get more playing time, he doesn't. That's huge. There's a reason why. Kendrick Bourne is good, but I mean, you can upgrade over Kendrick Bourne. You can get another speed threat outside of Marquise Goodwin, and Goodwin has unreal speed, but he hasn't shown it off all season. And I'm the biggest Dante Pettis fan. I really do support the guy, but coaching staffs only have so much patience with people, and quite frankly, Kyle Shanahan seems like an impatient person. So I don't know how much trust and confidence he has in Pettis going forward. So that's why I'm saying Deebo and Jalen are the only two guys that are being safe. And when Trent Taylor comes back, we'll see. But I mean, availability is the best ability, and Trent Taylor can't stay healthy, and that's clearly a problem. Sanders needs to be re-signed. He has a history of injuries. So there's a lot of questions going into the offseason, after this season. And, the big thing, too, is that I'm sure wide receivers and free agency will be good. This is going to be one of the deepest draft classes for wide receivers that we haven't seen since last season. And they're saying this draft could be historical. And I mean, you can go on and on about the list of guys. That's how much talent there is. And, again, I like the guys we have on paper. Don't get me wrong. But I still think the team is lacking playmakers overall. And I know George Kittle is a playmaker, but who else is there really? We still have to bring back Sanders. Deebo is working into his rookie year, and I'm sure he'll improve. Don't get me wrong. But, there still needs to be more continuity and consistency among the wide receivers. And quite frankly, no one else really has that. Kendrick Bourne flashes, but when you go out there and drop a huge ball against Seattle, are you really good? You need to be clutch when your moment is called upon. And Bourne is flash, but he's not consistent. Pettis isn't even getting playing time. Richie James doesn't get enough playing time. Trent Taylor is hurt, and we still don't even know what we have out of Jalen Hurt. So there's a lot of questions going forward among the wide receiver room. There's a lot of options available coming into the offseason. So, again, that's why I'm saying only those two guys' jobs are safe, because there's so many options going forward, and Shanahan has a lot at his disposal. And I do want to see Pettis step up. I do want to see, Bourne and James step up, but their opportunities aren't exactly there all the time. And then, of course, Sanders is a free agent, so who knows what's going to happen with him. So it's a lot. Overall, though, for the question, I think Pettis comes back. I respect Goodwin. I respect what he has going on off the field, but, you have to separate yourself from the game. And I think what goes on in your life should be more important. And I get that Goodwin wants to go out there and he wants to play with his boys, but he's not contributing, and he's taking snaps away from people who could contribute. So a lot of it goes forward, but I think Pettis comes back. I think Goodwin walks.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it's something that we've all been talking about. We need playmakers, right? We need playmakers, and it's consistency. Wayne, you up over there? No, he's good. I thought he was knocked out. But yeah. So I definitely agree with you. I think we need those playmakers, and I think that we're all bad for it. We're all screaming for all these playmakers, right? And but we got to remember, Deebo's a rookie. We haven't seen Jalen Hurd yet. Richie James and Dante Pettis are on their second years. Emmanuel Sanders just came in here. And George Kittle is George Kittle. And have we really given this wide receiver core enough time to really start gelling? Other than obviously Marquise Goodwin. I think Marquise Goodwin, there's something else going on. But with Deebo, Deebo has been a playmaker for the last 2 weeks. I think he's only going to get better. But do you think that right now? I mean, obviously, I don't want to talk into this too much. Just give me a yes or no. But right now, do you think it's life or death situation that we get a playmaking wide receiver right now?
Yes, I'm gonna say yes.
I want a playmaking wide receiver. I definitely do. I because Shanahan, give me a Julio Jones type guy, yo, with what we have in this offense. We go from 35 points a game to 45 points a game. Easy. And you know what it is? It's if Kyle's playing chess every single week, right? And This year, he's playing chess a certain way. It's like a defensive mechanism of chess. If my defense goes out here, and they do this, and I could play my offense in this way. Whereas when he was with Atlanta and he was coordinating with him, he was going to hit y'all with 40 plus points every single night because he just had like these crazy, he had certain chess pieces that he could utilize. And with these chess pieces with the 49ers, great pieces, but they're good at doing what they do, and I just think he's always going to look to add the right piece to his offense when he sees fit. The trade for Emmanuel Sanders, no one saw coming. I mean, we knew we needed. I don't think any of us knew we were going to trade. We knew once the names started getting thrown out there that we might trade for a receiver, but I don't think anyone knew that we were going to be trading for Emmanuel Sanders because, and I don't think people wanted Emmanuel Sanders because he's not that, quote unquote, the big old super duper chess piece. But
The bigger receiver, yeah.
In this offense, he came in and he looked like, if Kittle is your rook, maybe Sanders is the bishop. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it's looking like. And it's just like Kyle's gonna get what he needs, how he sees fit. If we can get, I don't mean big name receiver. I just mean a receiver with a different type of skill set. Look, all right. I was falling asleep. I'm lying. I'm tired. I'm tired. But I'm up now. Look, shut up, Mike. Look, if we got a receiver, and I know y'all say we got Jalen Hurd, I understand, cool. But if we go ahead and get us a receiver like a Mike Evans, yo, and we sitting here complaining about these Jimmy G high ass throw passes can't nobody catch but Mike Evans. Like, can you imagine some of these? It'll just make Jimmy G confident, more accurate. Like, we want our quarterback to feel great. Like, oh, I can get this ball to this guy. And then on the defense is going to make them play different. Everybody's stacking the box. Well, then you're going to play man zone, and you got a guy that's 6'5", and you're just going to let him catch the ball one-on-one on your guys to catch every day. So if that's a catch all day. So coming up in this draft or coming up in the offseason, if that's what we're talking about, because we passed way past the trade deadline, look for something like that, man. Look for a guy like that. We got plenty of guys that can run routes. I think, and you can call me whatever you want, but I think Deebo Samuel can be a Julio Jones type receiver. Yep, I said it. Yep, I'm dead ass serious.
And I'm not mad at that. I'm going to piggyback on what you were just saying, but here's the difference. Nick asked the question of, is a number one wide receiver a do or die position for this team? I'm going to say no, only because this team is doing fine right now without one. We're 9-1 without a number one wide receiver. When I say number one guy, we can go into week 10 and say Deebo Samuel is going to be the guy. We can go into week 11 and say Emmanuel Sanders is going to be the guy. We can go into week 12 and say George Kittle is going to be the guy. We can keep passing the buck and we can keep getting by, right? That means that we don't have a number one wide receiver. That means we have guys who are getting the job done and rising to the occasion week after week. We're moving it around. We don't have a number one guy. Every week, week in and week out, Julio Jones is the guy in Atlanta. Now, he might not have the game, he might not have the numbers, but that offense runs through Julio Jones, okay? If he's drawing double, triple coverage, that means everybody else should eat. We don't have that guy right now. We don't have a guy that people are saying we stop him, we have a shot at stopping the 49ers offense. And so with that being said, I'm going to say no. This team does not need a do-or-die guy. We are not in a position where that is going to make or break the 49ers. That said, I'm assuming that we bring back everybody who is on the roster right now. If you tell me Marquise Goodwin doesn't come back, if you tell me Dante Pettis doesn't come back, if you tell me a Kendrick Bourne or a Trent Taylor doesn't come back, my answer absolutely changes because each one of these guys brings a different dynamic to this team. And so if we bring back the exact wide receiving core that we have right now, no, we don't need a number one guy. I actually prefer to be able to spread it out and teams not be able to key in on who we are going to throw the ball to the most in an upcoming week. I prefer that. But if it's the other way around and we lose somebody, then yes, I do think we need to get an established number one wide receiver. That's my answer to you, Nick.
Gotcha. I don't think it's I shouldn't have said do or die because obviously it's not life or death. But yeah. So I mean, I'm okay right now with, like you said, Mike. This team is more of a. I'm getting like crazy feedback for some reason. This team is more of like pass the ball around, and you don't have one specific option. And I think it's only going to get better when we get fully healthy because we haven't seen, and Deebo Samuel, not Marquise Goodwin, Deebo Samuel, Jalen Hurd, even possibly, George Kittle, Emmanuel Sanders. We've seen it for a little bit, but we haven't really seen it in all cylinders as to what this team's going to do. So, but other than that, man, let's take a couple more synopsis. Let's take some more synopsis. Snuffleupagus. And then we'll wrap things up tonight.
Hey, I'll kick this off first. We saw a lot tonight. We saw the run game struggle, more than struggle. This is probably the worst running offensive attack we've seen this season. But Jimmy Garoppolo stepped it up. When your team has 350 yards of offensive production, that is typically a good game for you guys. We had over 450 yards, and 420 plus came from the passing game. The 49ers offense was clicking on all cylinders, and for the first time, it didn't involve the run game. I think that's a positive. When people think about how do we stop the 49ers right now, they think about how do we stop the run game. That proved to not be the situation tonight. Jimmy Garoppolo was wheeling and dealing. He was distributing the ball to a ton of different options and different wide receivers out there. And so when you see that happening, it's nothing but positivity. I think the 49ers can benefit from that in a vast way. Look, right now, if you look at how the game broke down, right? Jimmy Garoppolo threw the ball to, let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 different people caught passes from Jimmy Garoppolo tonight. That is the most on the season. We've seen 8, we've seen 7, and we've seen 9. 10 different people caught the ball from Jimmy Garoppolo tonight. That's never happened before. And it's no coincidence that Emmanuel Sanders was injured and George Kittle was out. This team is spreading the ball around. Kyle Shanahan is committed to doing whatever it takes to spread the ball around. I like that a lot. The run game was not showing up, but it didn't matter because we used the respect that people were giving the run game as a weapon. It wasn't that we were effective during this game, but it was enough that people respected the run game from previous games to play it honestly. And that's what we used. We saw the screen passes. Wayne, Nick, both of you guys were saying, where are the screen passes? Both of you guys were saying, what are the 49ers doing? How come we're not throwing more screen passes? We saw it a lot last year. This game, I saw 7 different plays that were screen passes where you had 3 wide receivers or 2 wide receivers and a tight end blocking ahead of the receiver. And they plowed the road clear for the target that caught the ball, and he was able to run free. The Niners are showing that we're not one-dimensional. We're not two-dimensional. We are going to beat you at whatever it takes. That's the cost of the game, right? I know that people are going to look at the last game and say, well, we lost, and it's not what we wanted to be, and da-da-da-da. It was a kick. It was a kick, bro. And it was a kick without our kicker. We used the backup kicker and lost that game. I believe if Robbie Gould was in, maybe we would have won that game. I can't prove it, but it is what it is. The 49ers right now are under a magnifying glass. The NFL wants us to be wrong. The NFL drastically wants the 49ers to be the worst 9-1 team they have ever seen. They want us to be a fluke. They want us to say that the defense isn't real. They want to say the run game is not real. They want to say that our quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo can't get the job done if the game is on his shoulders. Well, guess what, NFL? Time in and time out, we are proving you guys wrong. There is nothing you can do about it. And at some point this season, the NFL will accept that the Niners are the real deal. Until that happens, we are going to continue to march. We're going to continue to fight, and we will prove the doubters wrong. We will continue to win games in ugly fashion. We will continue to blow teams out and everything in between. It took overtime and a ton of injuries for the Seahawks to beat us. That's not a fluke, guys. This team is real. This team is legit, and I'm going to rest my case on that note right there. The 49ers are coming for that ass, and there is absolutely nothing the NFL can do about it. I'm done.
I agree with all of that. Before we get out of here, I want to touch on this comment because it says, Joe P says, somebody's got to shout out my man Dwelly before we go. The halfback all over the field and blocks, and he gets open. We got to give a shout out to Ross Dwelly. We weren't trying to not mention him tonight because, I mean, obviously this guy had 2 tutties tonight. One was called back. He's been a chess piece in this offense.
4 receptions, 14 yards, 2 touchdowns. His longest reception of the night was only 5 yards. Ross Dwelly was key and clutch all night long, and that's with a touchdown called back. Give that man his flowers. I like it. Go ahead.
And I also throw out a quick shout out there. He only had 2 punts. Mitch Wishnowsky only had 2 punts, but he averaged over 50 yards a punt, one of them inside the 20. You know, a lot of people have been questioning, why we took a punter in the 4th round. I mean, he's only punting the ball 40 yards. Well, the field position for him has been really good. He hasn't had the chance to show off his leg. 2 punts today. The dude kicks it over 50 yards. So just a quick shout out to Wishnowsky, man. He's very underrated. He's a solid punter.
My quick shout out come out to that boy that's fresh on this team, DeMontre Moore, yo. And the reason why I gotta shout this man out is because Mike called it earlier. Mike talked about that play, where he wanted to get in and get that sack, but the whistle was blown, blah, blah, blah. Nick said to calm him down, all that good stuff. But that boy was ready. And what happened was on a special teams play. That boy came down there, right? And he caused the fumble. Am I wrong? Am I saying it wrong? And knocked the ball out, gave the Niners the ball back. That is resiliency, my brothers. I'm never going to give up. I'm never going to surrender. We're going to win this game on all 3 phases. All 3. They closed it out on special teams. Defense came in there, did what they had to do. And boy, DeMontre Moore did what he needed to do on his limited snaps. We're going to see a lot more. We're going to see a lot more Julian Taylor. But that defense is going to be a problem, man, going forward. And I'm going to say it like I said. They got to come through us, man. We 9-1. They got to see us. We ain't got to go see them. They got to see us. I'm ready to go to sleep now, but they got to come see.
I want to piggyback on what you're saying. All those people out there saying, oh, my God, we got to play the Saints. Oh, my God, we got to play the Packers. They got to play us.
They got to play us.
They got to play us, bro.
They got to play us.
That's right. They got to see this defense live and center, bro. They got to see Kyle Shanahan and his game plan live and center. They have to see us. Just like we got to play them, they got to play us, and there's a difference. Right now, the Saints are saying, oh, shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Hey, the Niners are getting sacked on mobile quarterback. So imagine you got a quarterback in there who can hardly move in the pocket. And I'm respecting Drew Brees, don't get me wrong. But the Saints' offensive line has not been good.
Perry.
The offensive line, average.
Listen, man.
That line is going to bust some ass in the next 2 weeks. And we're here to see it, man.
Yo,
we are here to see it.
When the Niners play the Saints and they play these Packers, it's going to be a breath of motherfucking fresh air because they are finally going. Sealer ain't got to spy, ain't got to do nothing. They could just play 4 and back. And it's just like don't get it twisted. Aaron Rodgers get outside the pocket. He can extend plays. Don't get it twisted. Drew Brees can squirm around because he's so daggone small. He's like a little squirrel too. But my point is, it will be like a breath of fresh air. And the defense that we're used to seeing collapse in the pocket will be back. I can tell you that right now. I can promise you that right now.
I can't wait to get into talking these games. And Mike's going to be there for the Sunday night showdown that we've been flexed into. Don't forget, we've been flexed into them. I'd get my arm up a little higher, but I can't. We've been flexed into that position. Look, Green Bay's offensive line is not good at all. Just like
doo-doo. What do you say? It's doo-doo. Dookie.
So I can't wait to get into that, digging into that game. But obviously, we're still here right now. We're enjoying this. We'll do our breakdowns on that whole Aaron Rodgers team and the Green Bay Packers. But right now, man, I'm in agreement with you guys. I'm still at my point where the only team that we have to face left that worries me is Baltimore, and that's where I'm at right now. And that's the only team that worries me going into. I mean, Lamar Jackson is just the kid's a beast, and he's a more physical type of runner than Russell Wilson is and Kyler Murray. So that's the only thing that worries me so far.
We can literally hit the shit out of him. That's exactly what we want to do. You go ahead and run that ball, Lamar Jackson. You go ahead and try to spin away from one of these linebackers, bro. You know who likes to hit on our defense? I want you to say his name, Mike, because you said his name earlier. Jimmy Ward. He puts all the fucking body into them hits. We want him to run. You go ahead, and he gonna think about that junk 3 or 4 times after he sees stars. I guarantee it. That game, right? Listen, man, I'm jumping ahead. We got Green Bay coming up next.
Jimmy Ward's not the only guy in the secondary bringing the wood, bro. You got Quan Williams, you got Hart, you got Jimmy Ward, and you got Richard Sherman. All 4 of those guys like to hit back there. I'm sorry.
Look, we got to enjoy the next 2. Let's enjoy this win because the Niners are 9-1. Let's go. 9-1. 9-1, guys. We'll bring you another show sometime this week. Obviously, breaking down after we watch some more film, talk about some other things that we saw as well. And then we'll start digging in, game planning, and talking about the Green Bay Packers. Mike will be out there this week. So if any of y'all are out there, hit him up. He's going to be out there with his wife and the baby. Well, not the baby, but the boy. And
my son.
Yeah, the baby boy, I call him. But anyway, he's not a baby, but D's going to be out there. Check him out. And, yeah, man, I'm going to sleep tonight happy again, which is a good thing because I didn't sleep well last week and all week. And, man, Niners, you better put out a 49 hours if you're watching this. I'm going to message you, Robert Alberino, too, because we can't not put a 49 hours out just because we lose. We got to get that thing going. So 9-1, guys. We're on to next year or next week. We're on to next week. And that's it, man. We're 9-1.
You guys already know the deal. We went through the formalities. We're going to wrap this show up. And that's it for today, man. The Overreaction show is coming to a conclusion. Prepare for glory.
Anticipate pain.
But always remain faithful.